Great. Well, today I feel very something new. I'm feeling something new, something shifting. Maybe we are now moving from tucking head, tucking, analyzing to maybe doing something. Our head sir Narayanji always said, let's start something. So today we are starting to new, although we have been talking about these ideas, but today formally, on your behalf, I would like to formally start two initiatives. Although there are already two already going on. So I will explain that. The first one is that we want to now bring all what we have shared and also what each of you are going to contribute in the form of a small, short, sharp, exciting, inviting kind of stories, success stories of your own life, of your community, of your hospital, of the events that you remember. So to start with, I am thinking let's start with 3 to 5 separate entries of whatever you like, and we will find the right thematic areas, volume, online to fit there. And then the same event story could be in 2 volumes, 3 volumes, based on how relevant it is. For example, and now let's think about writing, contributing as a pluri-expressional event, not just words, but all media. I call it pluri, not only multi, where by saying pluri, what I'm trying to do is to allow the voices of other fellow species, अरू प्राणीहरू पनि नेपाली, भ्यागुताको पनि कथा ल्याउनुहोस्, अब जुनकिरीको पनि कथा ल्याम, गडौलाको पनि कथा ल्याम, त्यो कराङ कुरुङ हामी भन्थ्यौँ नि, त्यो क्रेनहरू साइबेरियाबाट माइग्रेट गर्ने, त्यसले केही आवाज केही मेसेज ल्याएको छ भन्नुहुन्थ्यो नि हाम्रो आमाहरूले, राइट, हजुरआमाहरूले, त्यो बारेमा पनि लेखौँ. अब expand our idea of what life is. Not only human, जात, आइमाई मान्छे मात्रै, सानो मान्छे, ठुलो मान्छे, त्यो सबले पुग्दैन अब. We need to expand the idea of creation, the life system, and bring voices of not only the human, too much smart and too arrogant, but जस्तै पोलिनेटर, होइन, मौरीहरू, भुसुनाहरूको भूमिका अब झन् ठुलो भएर आउने भयो. They are more important, probably, in their role to create this new civilization, to regenerate, which we have been talking about. So we'll start with 3 to 5, see how you feel. तर एकदम डिरेक्ट स्टोरी, त्यसमा फेरि नेपाल जस्तो अविकसित भन्ने कहिल्यै नलेख्नु होला, भूपरिवेष्टित भन्ने पनि होइन, त्यो पनि नलेख्नुहोस्, हामीलाई बाहिरको पैसा नआइदेखि केही गर्न सकिँदैन भन्ने पनि नलेख्नु होला. एकदम नयाँ तरिकाले, जस्तै हाम्रो कविता बहिनीले अस्ति 2वटा भारतका हाम्रै नेपाली मूलका बहिनीहरूलाई समेत राखेर कविता बनाउनु भयो, गाउने, हामीलाई त्यस्तो खालको हुनु पर्यो. तर पछि अनि हामी के गर्छौँ, त्यसलाई 6 क्लासको करिकुलमको लागि बेग्लै भोल्युम बनाउँला. तर फेरि प्याक गरेको क्लोज भोल्युम होइन, त्यो ओपन भोल्युम हुने भयो. त्यसमा कविताले सधैँ नयाँ कुराहरू आएपछि त्यसमा थप्न पाउने हुनु पर्यो. ल हेर्नु है, कस्तो एकदम डाइनामिक तरिकाको लर्निङ, नलेज क्रिएसन, को क्रिएसन. हाम्रो जन डी ल्युले लेख्नु भएको छ नि, collective inquiry, collective creation, collective use, and implementation. हेर्नु त, So we are entering into, and digitally, it's making it possible for that kind of a plurimedia event and tailoring to different learning needs of different populations. हो किसानहरूको लागि पनि हामी अर्को भलुम बनाउँला, त्यो फेरि क्लोज भलुम होइन, ओपन भलुम। तर कुनै कुनै हामी जस्तै लेखेर, जस्तै अब पालिकाहरूको लागि वी विल क्रिएट स्पेसिफिक मटेरियल, 6 क्लासको लागि स्पेसिफिक, 4 क्लासको लागि अर्कै, 9 क्लासको लागि अर्कै, 10 क्लासको लागि अर्कै, पोलिटिसियनहरूको लागि, सिभिल सोसाइटीको लागि अर्कै, यसरी शिक्षा क्षेत्रमा अर्को, स्वास्थ्यमा, हिलिङमा, यसरी। जस्तै म तपाईँलाई अब मसँग अहिले यसो सम्झेको, मसँग त धेरै धेरै कथाहरू मैले भन्न भनेको, मनमै राखेर गुम्स्याएर राखेको कथाहरू, इभेन्टहरू, मैले देखेका कुराहरू, अनुभव गरेका कुराहरू रहेछन्। म तपाईँलाई एउटा, मैले के लेख्छु त एउटा स्याम्पल दिन्छु है त तपाईँलाई। मैले त अब 5वटा मात्रै होइन, म धेरै लेख्छु। त त्यसमध्ये जस्तै for example, when I was 5 to 6 year young man in a village, I will give you the picture of the house and the village, and then I will write कि all of a sudden one day the goddess Annapurna Devi possessed me. भनेको मलाई अन्नपूर्ण देवी लाग्नुभयो कि 5 वर्षको 6 वर्षको उमेरमा मकैबारीमा झ्याम्मै। त्यो त अचम्मको घटना हो नि त, हो। तर त्यसलाई मैले कसरी त्यो कथा भनेपछि म कसरी गर्छु भने त्यो घटनाको कारणले मलाई यो अन्नपूर्ण, अबुन्डेन्स भन्ने कन्सेप्ट, वाइ द कन्सेप्ट अफ अन्नपूर्ण अबुन्डेन्स कम्स बिकज अफ द इभेन्ट that happened to me when I was 5 to 6, somewhere there, that the goddess Annapurna possessed me. ल त्यसैबाट मैले अब मेरो पुरा जिन्दगीको कामलाई नै अन्नपूर्ण अबुन्डेन्सको कन्सेप्ट हैन, मैले धेरै युट्युबहरू त्यसको बारेमा बनाएको छु, त्यसको अम्ब्रेलाभित्र। त्यस्तै अन्नपूर्ण प्लुरिभर्सिटिज हो। कसैले मेरो फर्मेटिभ पिरियडमा त्यो झप्प भएको अनुभवले मलाई कसरी प्रभावित गर्यो, हो हेर्नु त यसरी। हो, कथा भने त्यस्तो खालको बनाउने हो। त्यस्तै म तपाईँलाई अर्को एउटा कथा म लाग्छ, मेरो 12वटा मिथहरू थिए, फिक्टिभ फ्रेन्ड अफ डिफरेन्ट, फ्रम डिफरेन्ट प्लेसेस, डिफरेन्ट ग्रुप्स, ल्याङ्ग्वेज ग्रुप्स, 12वटा। Why dozen fictive friends my parents made me participate in, so that they wanted me to relate to all language groups. There were 2 of them from the Himalayas. One of them was from Manang and one of them was from Dolpa. Why would I have to relate to them as a fictive, real friendship? Because my parents, probably they had idea that I would be a kind of a connector. Do you see how? Oh, त्यो नै एउटा कथा। तर I will relate that katha, why I had 12 fictive friends during my childhood and youth, and that continues all your life, as a connector, as a composite culture of Nepal and Himalayas. That's why my thinking is not just because of one caste, one race, one blood, one geography. No. We want to have an expansive and composite and integrative view of who we are. Another story I am going to share in that series, in those different volumes, and always growing volume, not closed volumes, would be my experience with my favorite, one of my favorite teachers in college in Kathmandu, called Batuk Prasad Raj Bhandari. He used to teach us learning theory, philosophy of learning, on and on and on. Anyway, in one exam, it's like a midterm exam, he came up with this, the multiple choice question. And the old man was so tricky, he put all the right answer on B, A, B, C, D, all of the above, none of the above. And then he just distributed that paper with the multiple choice, maybe 15 questions, but he put the right answer all in B. In 5 minutes, I figured out that the right question was B, so I just put B and gave it to him. I said, yes, I already did it. And he smiled. But the other friends in the class, including Professor Vidyanath Koirala, I think, he was my classmate, they began to scratch their head because the idea was in multiple choice questions, the answer is spread, A 25%, B 25%, C 25%. So they kept on scratching their head. And then after, everybody submitted, he invited me back to the class, and then he looked what everybody was doing, what I was doing, and he declared, Pramod is the only one who is learning for learning. You guys are learning for the score, for the degree, for the job. From that day on, I just became famous. Like everybody looks up to me like, how did he know that all the right answer was B? And I did not question it. I just said, this is it. So these are the events. So these kind of things will be brought into a discussion, more meaningful discussion. See, what is learning? What is true learning? Why people are thinking learning should be about scoring, like that. So I will make that more as an invitation for rethinking how to learn, right? So anyway, I just give you some examples. So I hope this will encourage each of you to be really go deep, really find out what are those 5 things that you are so passionate about, and write a story in such fascinating way. So the 6th grader will also love your story. The municipal people, elected people will love your story. The whole world will like to know your story, and we will translate it in Nepali, English, and maybe few other languages in Nepal and maybe Spanish. We will see. I am now imagining that we might actually be a growing, living laboratory, library going on and on and on and on. And we will request other friends to contribute. And we will also bring from like Lakshmi Prasad Devkota, the national poet of Nepal, his poems, Lekhnath Poudel, uh, Guru Prasad Mainali, Vijay Malla. So it's going to be a amazing undertaking, which is now possible due to digital possibilities. Okay. So the second thing that we are starting today is the teacher cohort. Narayan sir, how many teachers are present today? Do we have teachers? Hello, from Janajyoti and other, that we are going to start a kind of an imaginary cohort of whatever number that you come. We are going to kind of engage with you in changing the learning ecosystem from kind of a teacher and a textbook oriented to how learners could learn. So our role is to create learning ecosystems where learners learn themselves. So we will be sharing the first one in that series with Marc. He will be sharing how he teaches his students in Portland, Oregon, where I was also his professor, and I was there for 10 years between 1998 and 2008. And now bring your notebook, as I have said. In that notebook, please fold the page in half. On the left, write down what I am saying, what other people are saying, what we are sharing on the online forum. And on the right side, what does this mean for you? So let's continue that. Then, for now, let us start with Chhabi Lal ji, Poudel ji. Please share your presentation ideas, discussions about Karnali food system. Take about 15 minutes.
यो मात्रै भइगयो हेलो
एकदम
हेलो
राम्रो सुनिएको छ छविलाल जी गुड
हजुर हजुर म गएँ यो सबैलाई नमस्कार म नेपालीमै प्रेजेन्ट गर्दा पनि भयो अनि सबैलाई नमस्कार शुभ बिहानी शुभ प्रभातम दुवै किसिमले म गएँ मैले आज चाहिँ यो एउटा मेरो अनुभवहरू कर्णालीमा रेजिलिएन्ट फुड सिस्टम कसरी विकास गर्ने कसरी के गर्ने के भइरहेछ भन्ने कुरो प्रस्तुत गर्दैछु किनभने कर्णाली नै नेपालको सबभन्दा क्रोनिक फुड डिफिसिट भएको एरिया हो र नेपालको सबभन्दा धेरै समस्याहरू भएको एकदम अनएसिबिलिटी रिमोटनेस भएको र हाम्रो चाहिँ लङ एडाप्टेसन मेकानिजम र स्ट्रङ विजडमको आधारमा सर्भाइभ भएको प्रोभिन्स पनि हो यो अब हामीले यो कर्णालीलाई हेर्दाखेरि यहाँको जस्तो यहाँको वस्तुस्थिति के लगाएर हेऱ्यो भने यहाँको सिचुएसन एकदमै खेतीलाई धेरै धेरै भयावह अथवा अप्ठ्यारो किसिमको परिस्थितिको छ र यहाँको चाहिँ ल्यान्ड होल्डिङ साइजहरू एकदम सानो छ र हाम्रो खास गरिकन कर्णाली माथिल्लो कर्णालीको कुरो गर्नुपर्दा बिचमा चाहिँ हाम्रो चाहिँ रेजिडेन्सियल एरिया हुन्छ बारी ल्यान्ड हुन्छ त्यसपछि त्यहाँ चाहिँ 3टा क्लासी लेख ल्यान्ड हुन्छ माथितिर जहाँ चाहिँ एकदम क्लाइमेटिक अलिक चिजभन्दा त्यसपछि खोलाको किनारहरूमा रिभर बेसिन टारहरू हुन्छ टेरेसेस रिभर बेसिन टार र लेक ल्यान्ड गरेर त्यहाँको कल्टिभेटेड एरिया हुन्छ यहाँको फार्म साइज होल्डिङ एकदम सानो छ 0.5 हेक्टरभन्दा कम छ त्यो 0.5 हेक्टर पनि हाम्रो के छ 5-6 ठाउँमा डिभाइडहरू पार्सल साइज फ्रेगमेन्टेड छ त्यसकारण यो चाहिँ एकदमै समस्यादायक कुरोहरू छ त्यस्तै गरेर अब यहाँको चाहिँ अब यो सिजनल माइग्रेसन र जडीबुटी कलेक्सन गरेर यहाँको बाँचिरहेको अवस्था छ यहाँको लाइभलीहुड जीविकोपार्जनको कुरा भन्नु पर्दाखेरि जङ्गली जडीबुटीहरूको कलेक्सन र लाइभ स्टकले सिग्निफिकेन्ट कन्ट्रिब्युसन गरेको छ अल्दो फार्मबाट चाहिँ धेरै थोरै हाम्रो चाहिँ आम्दानी हुन्छ र यहाँको चाहिँ आफ्नै प्रोडक्सनले 4 देखि 6 महिनासम्म मात्रै खान पुग्छ भने अरू तरिकाबाट हामीले अरू महिनाहरूलाई यहाँको लोकल आफ्नो सर्भाइभ गर्न सक्दैनन् यहाँको खेती माटोको पनि प्रोफाइल भेरी भेरी स्यालो छ त्यही भएर हाम्रो चाहिँ अलि डिप प्लोइङ जरुरी छैन हामीलाई स्यालो प्लोइङ अब स्यालो माटोको हिसाबले हामी त्यहाँको मान्छेहरू बाँचिरहेको अवस्था छ अब यहाँ चाहिँ क्रोनिक फुड डिफिसिट मन्थहरू हाम्रो चाहिँ मार्चदेखि जुलाईसम्म हुन्छ र तराईतिरको अलि गर्मी ठाउँको भन्दा फुड डिफिसिट हुने मन्थहरू यहाँ फरक छ किनभने त्यहाँ ग्रोइङ सिजन एउटा मात्रै हुन्छ त्यसकारण यो किसिमको भएको र यसको रिजल्टिङ हाम्रो के छ त माल न्युट्रिसन छ फुड इन्सेक्युरिटी छ भन्ने कुरोहरू यहाँ देखाइएको छ अब यही भन्न यहाँ चाहिँ हामी जाँदाखेरि हामी के भन्न सक्छौँ भने हाम्रो चाहिँ यहाँको एकदम एग्रो बायोडाइभर्सिटी एकदम रिच छ जस्तो हाम्रो यहाँ चाहिँ धेरै किसिमका चाहिँ मेन स्ट्रिम सिरियलहरू मिलेटहरू र सुडो सिरियलहरू भेजिटेबलहरू मेडिसिनल एन्ड एरोमेटिक प्लान्ट फ्रुटहरू र लाइभ स्टकको बायोडाइभर्सिटी धेरै बलियो किसिम सबल किसिमको धेरै बलियो किसिमको छ त्यसकारणै यो ठाउँहरूमा मान्छेहरूको सर्भाइभल भएको छ यो चाहिँ हाम्रो एउटा चाहिँ स्ट्रङ पक्ष के छ त्यहाँ चाहिँ लोकल जिनोटाइपहरू प्रशस्त मात्रामा भएको हुनाले त्यहाँको एग्रिकल्चर सर्भाइभल छ त्यहाँको फुड सिस्टमहरू भइराखेको छ भन्ने कुरोहरू हो। जस्तो कतिपय यहाँका विभिन्न किसिमका लोकल जातहरू चाहिँ हराइरहेको अवस्था छ भने कोही चाहिँ एकदम थ्रेटनिङको अवस्थामा छन्। जस्तो त्यहाँको चाहिँ सिरियलको कुरो मार्सी, काली मार्सी एकदम रिनाउन्ड हाम्रो लोकल जिनोटाइप हो। यहाँ चाहिँ हाम्रो पिक्चरमा हाम्रो नेताहरूले खाएर मार्सीलाई खाएर इन्जोय गरेको देखिन्छ। भन्न खोजेको चाहिँ यो फुड भन्ने कुरो यो चाहिँ हाम्रो चाहिँ पोलिटिकल इकोनोमीको विषय पनि हो र कसरी चाहिँ हामीलाई खानालाई कर्णालीमा मान्छेले राजनीतिकरण गरेका थिए भन्ने कुरोहरू। अब त्यहाँ चाहिँ राइस सब्सिडीको कुरोहरू एकदम व्यापक आयो, त्यो पनि पोलिटिकल इकोनोमीको कुरो हो। र त्यहाँ चाहिँ लोकल आफ्नो चाहिँ रेजिलियन्सी लोकल सिस्टमलाई सपोर्ट गर्नुभन्दा एकदम एक्सपोर्टेड व्हाइट राइस ल्याएर खाने कुरोहरू त्यहाँ चाहिँ जम्मा गरियो भन्ने कुरो हो। र त्यस्तै गरेर अर्को त्यहाँको एकदम लोकल चाहिँ एकदम स्ट्रेन्थ भएको यहाँ पिक्चरमा देख्न सकिन्छ चोतो भन्ने हो। एक किसिमको मुला हो यो। पहिला पहिला हाम्रो चाहिँ के अरे ट्रान्स हिमालयन बोर्डर हाम्रो चाहिँ ट्रेड हुँदाखेरि ट्रान्स हिमालयन बोर्डर ट्रेडमा सबभन्दा तिब्बतमा जाने वस्तु चोतो थियो कुनै जमानामा। प्रशस्त मात्रामा उतातिर सोतो र जौ जाने गर्थ्यो कर्णालीबाट। सोतो र जसलाई उवा भनिन्छ, उवा र चोतो प्रशस्त मात्रामा उत्तरतिर जान्थ्यो। तर अब चाहिँ त्यो अवस्थाहरू पनि रहेन। त्यस्तै गरेर त्यो हाम्रो चाहिँ यो कर्णाली क्षेत्रको एउटा नौमुठे गाई भनिन्छ। यसको चाहिँ एकदम घिउ चाहिँ पिकुलियर छ र यो चाहिँ ह्युमन हेल्थ र घस्नको लागि पनि हाम्रा बुढापाकाहरूले एकदम प्रायोरिटी लिएर दिने कुरोहरू हो। त्यस्तै गरेर हाम्रो तल्लो सुर्खेत लोवर कर्णाली र यो चाहिँ खास गरी शिवालिक र हाम्रो चाहिँ महाभारतको रेन्जमा खरी बाख्रा एकदमै राम्रो छ। तर पनि हामीले यो खरी बाख्रालाई पनि के गर्यौँ भन्दाखेरि इन्डियाबाट अन्तबाट विकासी बाख्राहरू ल्याएर पोल्युट गरिरहेका छौँ। यो सबै बिग्रिसकेको अवस्था छैन। यसबाट पनि हामीले चाहिँ यो डिजेनरेटिभ रूपमा चाहिँ भइरहेकोलाई सुधार गर्न सकिन्छ। खरी बाख्राहरूको कुरो छ र कर्णालीको जिनोटाइपहरू एकदम एकदम अनौठो किसिमको थिए। त्यहाँ एउटा मकैको जातहरू अलि छोटो धेरै दुईटा तिनवटा घोगा लाग्ने खालको अलि चाहिँ गाजले टाइपको मकै हुन्थ्यो पहिला पहिला। र त्यो मकै देखेर हाम्रा पुराना राजाहरू किङ महेन्द्र र किङ वीरेन्द्रले त्यहाँ चाहिँ यो मकै कहिल्यै पनि नल्याउनु कर्णालीमा र आलुको पनि बाहिरबाट बिउ नल्याउनु भन्ने हुकुम परमाङ्गी भएको थियो पहिला। तर पछि अब बाटो पनि खुल्यो सबैतिर अनि अहिले त्यो अवस्था रहेन। सबै कुरो इन्टरकनेक्ट वर्ल्ड भएको किसिमले इन्डिया र चाइनाका हाइब्रिड जातहरू पनि प्रशस्त मात्रामा त्यहाँ प्रवेश भए। बाहिरको बिउ पनि ल्याइयो। मकै हाइली क्रस पोलिनेटेड भएको हुनाले लोकल जिनोटाइपहरू क्रस भएर एकदम हराएको अवस्था अहिले छ। र जस्तो चाहिँ मकैका धेरै जातहरू थिए अहिले मकैका जातहरू छैनन्। अझै पनि केही जातहरू धानहरूका बाँकी छन्। र जस्तो हामीले त्यहाँबाट हटिसकेको यो बोयो धान, अब सुर्खेतमा त मलाई अब 20-30वटै जात छ हाम्रो तल्लो उसमा त कसरी कुन कुन जातहरू चाहिँ धानका पनि लोप भइसके। अहिले नो मोर इन कल्टिभेसन। मेरो घरमै म पनि किसान हुँ पहिला र अहिले नभए पनि र मेरो घरमा पनि खेती भएका जिनोटाइपहरू जो मेरो आमाले मन पराउनुहुन्थ्यो ती जातहरू अहिले नो मोर इन कल्टिभेसन गइसकेका छन्। यो अवस्थाहरू छ धानको मेन स्ट्रिम भेराइटीको पनि। त्यस्तै गरेर कोदोको हेऱ्यो भने कोदोको एकदमै डाइभर्स किसिमका लोकल जातहरू छन्। र कोदो मान्छेमा हाम्रो के छ भने कोदो भन्ने बित्तिकै कोदो भनेको समूह हो। हाम्रोमा 7वटा जस्तो सन् 2023लाई एफएओले चाहिँ अन्तर्राष्ट्रिय मिलेट इयरको रूपमा मनाएको थियो। त्यसले एकदम फाइदा पनि भयो। सबै किसिमको कोदोको लिट्रेचरहरू एकै ठाउँमा कम्पाइल भएको अवस्था छ। र यसमा कोदोमा हाम्रो चाहिँ पर्सो मिलेट, सोर्गम, फक्सटेल मिलेट र गरिकन 6वटा किसिमका पर्ल मिलेट त हाम्रोमा अलिक कम छ, तलतिर धेरै छ। र यसमा चाहिँ मैले अलिकता यो लोकल जिनोटाइपको कुरो गर्नुपर्दा कुन बालीहरू कसरी चाहिँ हाम्रो चाहिँ ओरिजिन भएको भन्ने कुराले पनि हामीलाई ठुलो अर्थ राख्छ। त्यसकारण म अलिकता चाहिँ यो यिनीहरूकोमा यो ओरिजिनको कुराहरू भन्न चाहेँ। फिङ्गर मिलेट हाम्रो अफ्रिकन ओरिजिन हो, तर पनि यहाँ आएर धेरै वर्ष पहिला आएर लोकल डाइभर्सिटी प्रशस्त भएको बाली छ। पर्सो मिलेट हाम्रो चाहिँ उत्तरतिर पश्चिम चिनमा र मङ्गोलियामा यसको ओरिजिन मानिन्छ। यसको पनि असाध्य र कर्णालीमा मात्रै पर्सो मिलेट हुन्छ। यो धान जस्तै भात खानमा युज हुन्छ। नेपालको अरू ठाउँमा चाहिँ पर्सो मिलेट छैन। सोर्गमहरू कर्णालीमा पनि छ, देशव्यापी छ, यो घाँसको रूपमा आउँछ। त्यहाँ गँधालो भनेर कर्णालीमा सोर्गमलाई गँधालो भनेर चिनिन्छ। गँधालो यसको पनि जिनोटाइपहरू धेरै नै छन्। र त्यस्तै गरेर हाम्रो चाहिँ फक्सटेल मिलेट कागुनु, कागुनु पनि यसको ओरिजिन उत्तरतिरै हो, हाम्रो हिमालयन हो, हाम्रो यो कर्णाली पनि हुनसक्छ। अनि यो फक्सटेल अलि वाइडर छ र कर्णाली र हाम्रो गण्डकी र पूर्वतिर पनि जतासुकै पहाडी भेगमा चाहिँ यो फक्सटेल मिलेट चाहिँ पाइन्छ। र पर्ल मिलेट हाम्रो तराईतिर र खास गरिकन इन्डियामा काम गर्न जाने सिजनल माइग्रेसनमा जाने कर्णालीवासीहरू, उहाँहरूले यो पर्ल मिलेट इन्डियामा प्रशस्त देखेर र सुक्खामा पनि प्रशस्त राम्रो भइरहेको देखेर उहाँहरूले घर फर्किने बेला अनि पर्ल मिलेट ल्याएर चाहिँ हाम्रो कर्णालीमा अनि चाहिँ उहाँहरूले ल्याएको अवस्थाहरू छ। अर्को चाहिँ हाम्रो चाहिँ यहाँ भएको पेरिला हिमालयन मिन्ट होइन, त्यस्तै गरेर ग्रेन लेग्युमहरू, भेजिटेबलहरू र मेडिसिनल एरोमेन्टी प्लान्टहरूको प्रशस्त मात्रामा डाइभर्सिटी छ। र अब यही डाइभर्सिटीको क्रममा यहाँ एउटा फिगर देखिएको छ। यो पिक्चर चाहिँ अब यो चाहिँ हाम्रो चाहिँ एउटा अमरन्थसको यो पिक्चर हो र अर्को पिक्चर चाहिँ हाम्रो बकविटको हो। एउटा पिक्चर अमरन्थसको र एउटा पिक्चर बकविटको। र त्यस्तै गरेर हाम्रो चाहिँ अर्को पेरिला भनेर हाम्रो यो पेरिला भनेपछि हाम्रो सिलाम भनिन्छ र कर्णालीमा यसलाई तिलकुडो भनेर भन्ने गर्नुहुन्छ। यो चाहिँ कुनै वन मन्त्रालयले कृषि मन्त्रालयले यसको रिसर्च गरेको छैन। यो चाहिँ मैले आफ्नो अनुभव मेरो करेसा बारीमा सधैँ पनि गरिराख्ने भएको हुनाले यो चाहिँ सिलामको कुरो हो। सिलाम पनि के हो भने हुन त यो तेल बालीको रूपमा आउँछ, मसला बालीको रूपमा आउँछ सिलाम। यसको ओरिजिन पनि उत्तरै हो र हिमालयन हो। हाम्रो जुम्ला कर्णाली नै यसको ओरिजिन हुनसक्छ। त अर्को कुरो चाहिँ यही चाहिँ पेरिलाको परिवारकै चिया सिड हो। यो चाहिँ हाम्रो ओरिजिनमा यहाँ छैन र अलिअलि अहिले चाहिँ काठमाडौँको वरिपरि खेती सुरु गर्न थालेको छ। यो चाहिँ साउथ अमेरिकाको यसको चिया सिड साउथ अमेरिकाको ओरिजिन हो र अहिले चाहिँ काठमाडौँको बजारमा चिया सिड र किनुवा भनेर अर्को चाहिँ हाम्रो किनुवा पनि हाम्रो यहाँ प्रशस्त मात्रामा सुपर मार्केटहरूमा किन्न चाहिँ पाइन्छ महँगो उसमा। तर पनि हामीले के गर्यौँ, हाम्रो आफ्नो चाहिँ बेथे, हाम्रो आफ्नो चाहिँ पेरिला सिलाम, अब सिलामको र यो चाहिँ चिया सिडको न्युट्रिसन भ्याल्यु तुलना गर्यो भने पेरिलाको माथि छ। तैपनि हामीले पेरिलालाई खोइ प्रमोट गरेनौँ। तर हामीले के गर्छौँ, चिया सिडहरू र किनुवा चाहिँ हामीले किनेर यहाँ काठमाडौँमा पनि खाइरहेको अवस्था छ। र त्यस्तै गरेर हाम्रो बकविटको पनि ओरिजिन हाम्रो उत्तरतिरै हो र हिमालयन हो। त्यसकारण हाम्रो यहाँ चाहिँ लोकल खास गरी तिते टाइपको हाम्रो चाहिँ इन्डिजिनस जातहरू प्रशस्त जुम्लामा पाइन्छ। त्यस्तै गरेर हाम्रो चाहिँ मिठे टाइपको अलिक कम छ। यसको पनि हाम्रो उत्तरतिर हिमालयनकै रेन्जको के हो ओरिजिन हो। यस्तै गरेर हाम्रो चाहिँ अर्को चाहिँ अमरन्थस हो। अमरन्थस भनेको हाम्रो त्यही भित्रै पर्छ। यो चाहिँ किनुवा पनि यसको एउटा चाहिँ अमरन्थसको स्पेसी हाम्रो चाहिँ यहाँ हिमालयन भेगतिर उत्पत्ति भयो भने अरू स्पेसीहरू धेरै यसको पनि साउथ अमेरिका मेक्सिको तिर ओरिजिन भएको हो। र तर पनि यिनीहरू हाम्रो लोकल रूपमा एलट अफ बायोडाइभर्सिटी लोकल जिनोटाइपिक डाइभर्सिटी भएको अवस्था चाहिँ छ। खास गरिकन अमरन्थसलाई यो रामदाना पनि भनिन्छ। यसको भेरी गुड मार्केट इन इन्डिया। अब त्यस्तै गरेर यो चाहिँ वास्तवमा चाहिँ यो रामपुरको हाम्रो एग्रिकल्चरको मैले पढाउँथेँ, म त्यहाँ चाहिँ एग्रोनोमीको फ्याकल्टी पनि हो। र त्यो पढ्दाखेरि यिनीहरूको अमरन्थस भयो अनि यो बेथेहरू र हाम्रो पेरिलाहरू करिकुलममा छैन। कोदोको अलिकता थोरै एक लेक्चर मात्रै हो। बकविट जस्तो टच गरिएको छ, सफिसियन्ट यिनीहरूलाई वेटेज दिएको अवस्था पनि छैन। त्यस्तै गरेर अर्को हाम्रो चाहिँ बकविट हो। त्यस्तै गरी बकविटको त तिते बकविटको त अलट अफ मेडिकल भ्यालु छ। जस्तो हाम्रो एनजिओ सर्जरी भन्छ, जस्तो एकचोटि हाम्रो राजा वीरेन्द्रको एनजिओ सर्जरी गरिएको थियो, त्यस्तो किसिमको सर्जरी गर्नु पर्दैन। यो तपाईँले यदि तिते फापर खाएको छ, तिते फापर सागमा खानुहोस्, रोटी खानुहोस्। मिठे फापरमा नि केही हुन्छ, तर तिते फापरमा त्यस्तो गुण हुन्छ। र यो चाहिँ ब्लड प्रेसरको औषधि गराउनमा पनि यो चाहिँ के हुन्छ, एक्सट्र्याक्ट गरेर ब्लड प्रेसरको औषधि निकाल्न सकिन्छ फापरबाट। एलट अफ इकोनोमिक कुरोहरू यसमा छ। त्यस्तै गरेर बेथे अर्को चाहिँ हाम्रो अनुसन्धानले नछोएको, हाम्रो नार्कले पनि रिसर्च नगरेको चाहिँ बेथे हो। बेथे चाहिँ एउटा चाहिँ हाम्रो चाहिँ त किनुवा, सेनोपोडियम किनुवा भन्ने त हाम्रो यो साउथ अमेरिकाकै ओरिजिन हो। यहाँ चाहिँ अलिअलि सुरु गरे पनि त्यति साह्रो किनुवा पाइँदैन, तर हाम्रो किनुवा यहाँ चाहिँ हाम्रो र यो चाहिँ के अरे हाम्रो पसलहरूमा पाउँछ किन्न महँगो रूपमा। र त्यस्तै गरेर अर्को चेनोपोडियम अल्बम, सेनोपोडियमका दुईटा स्पेसी अरूहरू छन्, जो एउटा चाहिँ ठुलो रुख बेथे, अलि ठुलो बुस्सी टाइपको, सागमा खानुमा पनि यी बेथेहरू एकदम राम्रो छन्। त्यस्तै बेथेको उत्पादन त धेरै कम छ, तर पनि यिनीहरू के छन्, एकदमै राम्रो छन्। हाम्रो चाहिँ स्वास्थ्यको दृष्टिकोणले, न्युट्रिसनको दृष्टिकोणले यिनीहरू एकदम राम्रो छन्। अब यस्तो किसिमले हाम्रो चाहिँ यो कतिपय चाहिँ हाम्रो यो सुडो सिरियलहरूको हाम्रो चाहिँ कल्टिभारहरू लोकल छन्, तर यसको प्रपरली हाम्रो रिसर्च भएको छैन। र यो खासै ठुलो रूपमा अथवा मेसिभ हाम्रो रिसर्च स्टेसनहरू भए पनि तिनीहरूले यसले रिसर्चले ग्रान्ट गरिसकेको अवस्था छैन। त्यस्तै गरेर अब अर्को कुरो चाहिँ मैले यहाँ के देखाउन खोजेँ यो स्लाइडमा भन्दाखेरि, यहाँको पिक्चर छ, यो क्लाइमेटिक के छ भन्ने कुरो, क्लाइमेटिकको भल्नरेबिलिटी कस्तो छ भन्ने देखाएँ। यो चाहिँ पिक्चरमा हाम्रो चाहिँ भेडा च्याङ्ग्रा यसरी थन्डर हाई अल्टिच्युडमा एकदम हाम्रो चाहिँ थन्डरिङको साह्रै ठुलो प्रब्लम आउँछ। यसरी थन्डर स्टोर्मबाट डेथ भएको एनिमलको यो चाहिँ पिक्चरहरू देखाएँ। त्यस्तै गरेर अहिले भर्खरै हाम्रो चाहिँ यो चाहिँ हाम्रो पूर्वीबाट आएको यो साइक्लोनको असर अहिले जस्ट परेको छ, र हाम्रो चाहिँ पाकेको धानहरू पूर्वी भेगमा, पश्चिमी भेगमा पनि हाम्रो चाहिँ वेस्टर्ली विन्ड सुरु भएर वर्षा सुरु भएको छ अलिअलि। र हाम्रो पूर्वी भेगबाट आएको यो साइक्लोनले मोन्था टाइपको यो आँधीको कारण पनि प्रशस्त वर्षा भयो, र यसले साह्रै धानबालीलाई नकारात्मक पारेको छ। तर यसको एउटा पोजिटिभ कुरो के भएको छ भने, काठमाडौँमा हाम्रो चाहिँ पोल्युसन बढी थियो, हाम्रो 150 AQI भनेर इन्डिकेट गरिसकेको अवस्था थियो। पानी परिसकेपछि भर्खरै मैले अहिले हेरेको 100 के अरे जम्मा 45मा झरेको छ 150बाट। काठमाडौँ भ्यालीलाई यसले चाहिँ धेरै राम्रो गरेको छ। अब यो सबै स्वाभाविक हो। यो चाहिँ हाम्रो ड्राउट आउँछ, फ्लड छ, ल्यान्डस्लाइड छ, इरोजनका कुराहरू छन्, र लस अफ ल्यान्ड छ। खास गरिकन हाम्रो माउन्टेन अप्पर माउन्टेन भेगमा चाहिँ हाम्रो एकदमै रिभर बेसिन प्यारेसहरू, रिभर बेसिन भ्यालीहरू वासिङ भएको अवस्था छ। एक ठाउँमा पहिरो जान्छ, तल चाहिँ पहिरोले के गर्छ, नदीको सतह लिन्छ, अनि पानीले सबै बाहिरको हाम्रो चाहिँ धान खेत गर्ने टारहरू बगाएको अवस्था छ भने, प्यारेसहरूमा मास फ्लो पहिरो जाने कुराहरू बढिरहेको अवस्था छ, यो आइरहेको छ। त्यस्तै गर्ने अहिले मैले त्यहाँ अब्जर्भ गरेको कुरोहरू, ट्री लाइन पनि किसानहरूसित सोद्धाखेरि उत्तरतिर बढिरहेको अवस्था छ, र त्यो चाहिँ एउटा पोजिटिभै पनि मान्न सकिन्छ। सिफ्टिङ कल्टिभेसन, जस्तो स्याउ लाउने उत्तरतिर धेरै गराहरू बढाएको किसानले देख्न सकिन्छ, यो लेक ल्यान्डको कुरोहरू गर्नुपर्दा। त्यस्तै गरेर अर्को एउटा चाहिँ वाइल्ड एनिमलको हिसाबमा पनि उत्तरतिर हेबिटाट सिफ्ट भएको छ। पहिला त्यहाँ चाहिँ बाँदर लाग्थेन एप्पलमा, 5 वर्ष अगाडिसम्मको कुरो पनि बाँदर, कुनै पनि एप्पल त्यहाँ बाँदर पुगेको थिएन। अहिले चाहिँ त्यहाँ प्रशस्त मात्रामा बाँदर पुगेको छ। र मैले छत्याट मुगुमा भर्खरै एउटा अध्ययन गरेको थिएँ, त्यहाँ चाहिँ बाँदरले पनि स्याउ खाए सर भन्ने कुरोहरू त्यहाँ आइरहेको थियो। त्यस्तै गरेर अर्को कुरोहरू हाम्रो चाहिँ यो फ्लड ड्राउटमा चाहिँ वाटर स्प्रिङहरू सुक्ने र वाटर होल्स कम हुने कुराहरू पनि हामी अब्जर्भ गरिरहेका छौँ। त्यस्तै गरेर रोग र किराको प्रकोप पनि बढ्दो क्रममै छ। यस्तै गरेर अब चाहिँ यहाँ मैले के भन्न चाहेँ भने यो हाम्रो एग्रो बायोडाइभर्सिटी भयो, यो किसिमले हाम्रो त्यहाँको एग्रिकल्चर सर्भाइभ गरेको अवस्थाहरू भयो। र यसरी लोकल एडप्टेसन मेकानिजम, हाम्रो विजडम, लोकल किसानको विजडम भेरी स्ट्रङ भएको कारण चाहिँ यस्तो जिनोटाइपहरू बस्न गए। अब यसको चाहिँ हाम्रो उपाय के त, हाउ वी क्यान सर्भाइभ, हाउ वी क्यान रिजेनेरेट द कर्णाली एग्रिकल्चर सिस्टम भन्ने कुरामा म चाहिँ अलिकता चाहिँ यो भन्न चाहेँ। यो स्लाइडमा हेर्न सक्नुहुन्छ, एउटा चाहिँ प्रशस्त मात्रामा मल्चिङ गरेर खेती गरेको किसान छ, अर्को चाहिँ कभर क्रपहरू। र यो दुईटाले गर्दाखेरि के हुन्छ त भने अब माटोमा एकदम माइक्रोबहरू चाहिँ बाँचिरहन्छन् जबसम्म उनीहरूले सेड पाउँछन्, र त्यसपछि उनीहरूको जस्तो कभर भयो भने प्रशस्त मात्रामा माइक्रोबहरू, सोइल माइक्रोब सर्भाइभ गर्छन्। त्यसकारण उनीहरूले के गर्छन्, क्रपलाई इम्युनिटी दिन्छन् है, डिजिज रेसिस्टेन्ट क्यापासिटी बढाउँछ र उत्पादनहरू बढ्छ। र अर्को यसमा चाहिँ हाम्रो चाहिँ ल्यान्ड, यो मैले के सोध्छु भने यो चाहिँ एग्रो इकोलोजिकल प्र्याक्टिसेसहरू हाम्रो कोर हो, एग्रो इकोलोको न्युक्लियस हो हाम्रो चाहिँ यो हाम्रो चाहिँ रिजेनरेटिभ एग्रिकल्चरको। अहिले तपाईँको भन्नु पर्दाखेरि के छ, धेरै अहिले भर्खरै पनि विभिन्न किसिमको जर्गनहरू र वर्डिङहरू अथवा एप्रोचहरू छन्। जस्तो बायोडाइनामिक फार्मिङको एउटा वर्कसप चल्दैछ पोखरामा हिजो आज भोलिकै कुरो गर्दा। त्यस्तै गरेर तपाईँको अर्ग्यानिक एग्रिकल्चर भन्नुहोस्, बायोडाइनामिक फार्मिङ भन्नुहोस्, अथवा चाहिँ क्लाइमेट स्मार्ट एग्रिकल्चर भन्नुहोस्। अब इन्डियाले नेचुरल फार्मिङ भनेर सुरु गरेको छ, र यी आदि इत्यादि जस्तो नि अब के अरे स्मल स्केल फार्मिङ सपोर्ट भन्ने छन्, त्यस्तै कम्युनिटी सपोर्टेड एग्रिकल्चर आदि इत्यादि जे नाम भए पनि मैले यहाँ भन्न खोजेको कुरो हाम्रो चाहिँ रिजेनेरेसन अथवा हाम्रो सस्टेनेबल एग्रिकल्चरको लागि यो एउटा एप्रोच हो। एग्रो इकोलोजिकल डेस्टिनेसन एउटै हो, सबैको कोर प्रिन्सिपल भनेको एग्रो इकोलोजी हो। यी सबै जेसुकै भन्नुहोस् किसिमको एग्रिकल्चर, तर अहिले चाहिँ कतिपय अवस्थामा हाम्रो किसानहरू र हाम्रो कतिपय एक्सटेन्सन साथीहरू, वर्करहरू र कतिपय टिचर साथीहरूसित पनि सोध्नुहुन्छ यो त के हो यस्तो आछ, यो सबै किसिमको भोक्याबुलरी के हो भन्दाखेरि मैले यसरी भन्ने गरेको छु, सबैको डेस्टिनेसन एउटै हो। भित्र गएर हेऱ्यो भने निटिग्रिटी कन्सेप्चुअल फरक भए पनि ओभरअल हाम्रो डेस्टिनेसन एउटै हो। त्यसकारण यो चाहिँ के हो त, रिजेनरेटिभ एग्रिकल्चर प्र्याक्टिस हो, केमिकल डिजेनरेटिभ एग्रिकल्चर होइन। यसरी तपाईँले छुट्याएर रिजेनरेटिभ एग्रिकल्चरको रूपमा जानुस् भनेर हामी भन्ने गरेको अवस्था छन्। यसमा चाहिँ क्रप डाइभर्सिटी।
ल छविलालजी, यो त अचम्म, तपाईँले त प्यान्डोराज बक्स निकालिदिनु भयो। हामीलाई यही लेभलमा जानुपर्ने थियो। अब तपाईँको प्रेजेन्टेसन र धेरै अरू साथीहरूकोबाट मैले सुनेको, र म आफू पनि केही भागमा कर्णालीको केही भागमा पुगेको थिएँ। अब मलाई लाग्छ कि एउटा रैथाने कर्णाली एकाडेमी नै खोल्नुपर्ने जस्तो देखियो। अहिले सबै तपाईँको यो खानपिनकोदेखि लिएर मेडिसिनल प्लान्टदेखि लिएर क्रप डाइभर्सिटी, त्यहाँ भएका क्लाइमेटिक समस्याहरू, ती सबैलाई एकदम समष्टिगत रूपमा रिजेनरेटिभ एउटा लर्निङ मेनी लर्निङ इकोसिस्टमहरू बनाउनु पर्ने र बनाउने सम्भावना देखियो। त्यस कारणले हामीले एउटा कर्णाली रैथाने एकाडेमीको लागि एउटा वर्किङ ग्रुप बनाऊँ। हाम्रो छविलालजी समेत, नारायणजी, अनि जो जति पनि कर्णालीबाट हुनुहुन्छ, र त्यसमा हामी यो काम गर्न थालौँ। मलाई त यो त एकदम महत्त्वपूर्ण कुरा लाग्यो। यति धनी ठाउँ हो कर्णाली, त्यसलाई हामीले सबभन्दा नेग्लेक्ट गरेका छौँ। धेरै प्रोजेक्टहरू पनि त्यहाँ गएको छ, तर त्यसलाई अझै। र म अनलाइनमा एउटा यो इमेजिन नेपाल भन्ने सिनेमाहरू पनि आइरहेछ कि कर्णालीको बारेमा, सबै प्रदेशको बारेमा, त्यसबाट पनि हामीलाई धेरै थाहा हुन्छ। ल, एउटा वर्किङ ग्रुप बनाऊँ। अर्को अब छविलालजी, जुन हामीले पब्लिकेसन भनेको छौँ नि, तपाईँले अब कसरी सोच्न थाल्नुहोस् भने म्युनिसिपालिटीको लागि कुन इन्फर्मेसन कसरी प्रस्तुत गर्ने हो, स्कुलका केटाकेटी भाइ बहिनीहरूलाई हामीले यो कुराहरू कसरी पढाउने, र अब हामी बिस्तारै के गर्दैछौँ भने यो पढाउँदै अनि हामीले बायोलोजीमा कुन टपिक, केमिस्ट्रीमा कुन टपिक, फिजिक्सको कुन टपिक, म्याथमेटिक्समा कसरी, त्यो हामी अब त्यो इन्टिग्रेट पनि गर्छौँ। त तपाईँले अब लेख्न मात्र तपाईँलाई 5वटा मात्रै होइन 10वटा लेख्न पठाउँछु, एक पेजको एकदम कम्युनिकेसन इफेक्टिभ, र यो टार्गेट ग्रुप भनेर पनि तपाईँले त्यसमा आइडेन्टिफाई गरिदिनुहोस्। मैले यो लेखेको यो 8 क्लासको भाइ बहिनीहरूको लागि हो, अथवा किसानको लागि हो, अथवा आमा समूहको लागि हो, अथवा त्यहाँ जडीबुटी उत्पादन गर्ने मान्छेको लागि हो। अब एकदम हामीले डाइभर्सिफाइड अडियन्स, डाइभर्सिफाइड मटेरियल र प्लुरिमिडिया शब्द मात्रै होइन, तपाईँले जस्तो कति यो पिक्चरहरू राखेपछि हामीलाई कति अलाइभ भयो होइन। ल अहिलेलाई छविलालजी यो त एकदम उत्कृष्ट प्रेजेन्टेसन भयो, यसलाई हामीले कन्टिन्यू गर्ने। अनि तपाईँले मलाई एउटा सेयर गर्नुहोस् यो स्लाइड पनि, इमेलमा पठाउनुहोस् है। अनि अहिलेलाई तपाईँलाई हामी अहिले आराम गर्न दिन्छौँ। तर यो कुरा फेरि एउटा वर्किङ ग्रुप बनाऊँ कि कर्णाली रैथाने कर्णाली एकाडेमी बनाउने, अब त्यो एकदम महत्त्वपूर्ण हुनेछ। यदि कसैले गरिसक्नु भएको छ भने उहाँहरूसँग हामी कोलाबोरेट गरौँला, नभएदेखि रैथाने कर्णाली एकाडेमी। छविलालजी ल तपाईँबाट हामी एकदम प्रभावित भयौँ है त। अहिलेलाई तपाईँलाई बिदा दिउँ।
यो स्लाइड देखाम सर,
ल हुन्छ फास्ट
देखाम,
हुन्छ जस्ट भेरी फास्ट। तर आजलाई तर तपाईँलाई फेरि हामी बोलाउँछौँ।
ल अब यसमा अब म गइन भन्नु सर, यो मौरीको कुरो पनि, र यो इन्सेक्ट इन्टिग्रेसन नट ओन्ली लाइफ हो, र यो चाहिँ ग्रिन मेनरिङको कुरोहरू देखाएँ, धेरै छन्, म गइन यिनी सबै। यसमा चाहिँ पोलिसीको कुरो तुरुन्तै गर्नुपर्ने पनि एउटा स्लाइड, रिसर्च एजुकेसन र डेभलपमेन्ट कसरी टाइअप भएर जाने भन्ने कुरो कर्णालीको लागि कसरी जाने भन्ने मैले यहाँ राखेको छु। त्यस्तै म्युनिसिपल लेभलको एक्सटेन्सन भन्ने पनि छ। यहाँ मैले अलिकता त्यो लोकल रैथाने जातहरूको लेखेँ। यो जातहरू, यो सबभन्दा 1 नम्बरको चाहिँ प्रोसो मिलेट, दोस्रो चाहिँ हाम्रो बेथे, तेस्रो चाहिँ हाम्रो चाहिँ फक्सटेल मिलेट, यो चाहिँ हाम्रो 9 मुठे गाई, र यो चाहिँ कर्णालीमा सिफारिस, यो चाहिँ हामीले क्लिन गर्दाको यो हाम्रो च्यालेन्ज, यो टेरेसेस कसरी रिनोभेट रिजेनेरेसन गर्ने भन्ने प्रब्लम हो। यो चाहिँ हाम्रो यो पेरिलाको बोट हो यो। यसपछि यो चाहिँ मैले यो अरू चाहिँ अलिकति राखेँ। हस् त, धन्यवाद, मैले सकेँ।
गजब छविलालजी, तपाईँले त अचम्मै हामीलाई त एकदम। अब रैथाने कर्णाली एकाडेमी बनाउने यी सबै कामलाई, र जस्तै अब प्रोफेसर आलोक, यु एग्री विथ मी द्याट देयर इज अ लट अफ पोसिबिलिटी हियर फर अल अफ अस। त्यसमा यो इकोसिस्टम रिजेनेरेसन ल्याउन सकिन्छ। त्यो टेरेसमा पानी मैले अस्ति प्रस्तुत गरेको थिएँ नि, पानी कसरी जम्मा गर्ने, त्यो त्यसबाट सुरु हुन्छ सबै कुरा। जे होस्, अचम्मको मौका छ। थ्याङ्क यू छविलालजी, र तपाईँलाई हामी फेरि बोलाउँछौँ। र तपाईँले अब आफ्नो लेखहरूमा पनि बिस्तारै लेख्न थालिहाल्नुहोस्। ल त, ल अब म अलिकति मार्कको प्रेजेन्टेसन, यी सबै रिजेनरेटिभ लाइफ सिस्टमको कुरा, जीवनशाला नेपालीमा, र लाइभलीहुड जीविकोपार्जन नेपालीमा शब्द, र सिकाइशाला। ल है, तपाईँले आफ्नो नोटबुकमा यो 3वटा शब्द लेख्नु त सबैले नेपाली। र अल अफ यु, व्हाई आई एम पिकिङ 3 कन्सेप्ट्स। लाइफ सिस्टम मुख्य कुरा थियो, जहाँ मान्छे र सबै अरू प्राणीहरू, बोट बिरुवाहरू, चराचुरुङ्गीहरू, गडौलाहरू, जुन किरीहरूको लाइफ जिन्दगी एकदम राम्रो हुनु पर्यो। पहिलो त्यो बनाएपछि बल्ल ठिक हुन्छ हो। तर त्यो बनाउनेबाट नै जीविकोपार्जन गरौँ त कति राम्रो होला अझै हो। एकातिर जीवनशाला एकदम राम्रो बनाउँदैछौँ, तर त्यसबाट जीविकोपार्जन पनि गर्न पाइने भयो। अहिले भर्खरै छविलालजीको फ्रम छविलाल्स प्रेजेन्टेसन, छविलालजी प्रेजेन्टेसन, वी क्यान सी द वेल्थ, कति, हाउ मच वेल्थ यु वान्ट, इट्स अलरेडी देयर। तर हामीले त्यो सिकाइशालामा, त्यो जीवनशालामा भएकोलाई जीविकोपार्जन बनाउने र समृद्ध, सबै समृद्ध हुने उपायहरू अब हामी निकाल्न सक्छौँ। अब कसैले गरिदेला भन्ने होइन, अब हामी आफैले गर्न सक्छौँ है। ल यही कुरा भनेर अब म अमेरिकाको पोर्टल्यान्ड, ओरेगन राज्यको पोर्टल्यान्ड सहरमा, जहाँ म पनि थिएँ, आई वाज देयर फर 10 years, 1998 देखि 2008. That was the best decade in my life. We did such amazing work, and Mark was one of the team leaders with me. As also a master's level student, he graduated with excellent A+, and now he wants to work with me in Nepal, and also he wants to do a PhD degree in the new program. See how it works. Look, Mark, you are welcome to Nepali Himali context, and also I want to share Mark is very attached to the South Asian context. He has 2 children. He and his partner have 2 children from South India. So that is a big intimate connection that he has. And as you will see from his presentation, he is the kind of guy we want to invite to work with teachers and peasants and farmers and all that. Love, Mark, welcome.
Thank you, Pramod. Let me get my presentation.
Sure.
Thank you. That was very interesting. Even though I'm unfortunately not a Nepali speaker, so I apologize for that. But let's see.
But the slides gave you some information.
Of course, and yeah, I could read those, and I recognize some of the plants too, which is great.
Yes.
Okay, hold on here. Just sorry, bear with. There we go. Garden-based education. Okay, I'll run through these slides. Mostly what I have to share with you is a lot of photographs today, but I'm going to give a kind of framework for the work that I've been doing since I graduated from Portland State University under Pramod's direction, getting a master's in sustainability education. I began to work at this one school in Portland, Oregon called Franciscan Montessori Earth School, and I have been doing garden-based education there since then. Okay, let's see if we can advance here. So this is me in all my glory and various ways you might encounter me at school. There's my passport picture, but then sometimes working with kids brings out a very fun and adventurous side. So I try to keep it light and fun. And I'm an educator, a gardener, and I also call myself a placemaker because I feel like a lot of the work we do at school is creating special places for children that they can be in the natural world and inhabit. Here's, before we go further, I need to present my collaborators. This is a sampling of the various kids that I work with and all their glory and fun. And working with kids, this is a very creative enterprise, as I'm sure many of you know. There's never a dull moment. There's always something going on. And they have a great hunger to learn and to explore and to imagine new things. So it's been a very vitalizing force for me to work with kids. Just for those of you who aren't familiar with the context of where I am, I'm in the United States in the northwest corner of the continental United States. You can see a small yellow dot in the upper left-hand corner. We'll zoom in on it a little bit more here. Right on the dividing line, pretty much between the northernmost state of Washington and our state of Oregon, separated by the Columbia River. Zooming in a little more into Portland, you can see the Columbia River just to the north, that dark line to the north. And we are in outer southeast Portland, next to a large nature area. You can see mostly developed land in the upper portion of the slide, but then down in the bottom, you see a large green area that's called Powell Butte, which is a 10-minute walk from our school. And then this is our school. We have a lot of green space and many different kinds of gardens and garden spaces on there. This photo is a little old, so it looks like a big old plain soccer field, but we're in the process of taking that over and doing sustainable agriculture and reforestation there. I'll show you some slides based on that. So before we get too much further, I'm just going to give you a thesis of my work and then some methods that I employ. And then the rest, we're just going to be looking at pictures that will back up and illustrate all those elements. So my thesis is that garden-based education offers a holistic and embodied approach to learning and knowledge, and initiates the child into functional relationships with local and global ecosystems. So that means, in other words, a child will learn, I hope, by going through the program that I offer and that other garden teachers will offer, how to relate functionally, how to relate healthily to the ecosystem, how to be in the give and take, how to do that kind of regenerative agriculture we just heard about prior. It simultaneously empowers a child to provide the foundation for a happy, healthy life for herself and her community. And, that's under threat everywhere. It's especially under threat in the United States. Our access to healthy food is dwindling. Commercial, industrial agriculture, processed packaged foods are the norm. And our kids are being raised in this environment. So I'm trying to offer an alternative to that. Here are the methods that I use to do my work. One is just fostering exploration and trying to counter this nature deficit that most American children or many American children experience. I want to give time for wondering and wandering, for kids to just move around the grounds and experience nature on their own terms. And then we have something in Montessori, the Montessori movement that I'm part of, called the prepared environment, whereby I try to create spaces that are really enticing for kids and let them enter on their own terms and learn what they will in there. The space is not necessarily controlled, but it's more invitational. We do real work with real tools, and this is a very embodied learning. It's also very purposeful. There's always a reason why we're doing what we're doing. I focus on teaching gardening and cooking because those two things go together like hand and glove. I want the kids to know about plants, but I also want them to know how to bring that into their homes and create delicious and nutritious meals that will bring the community together. We focus on arts and crafts. We do all kinds of projects, as you will see in the landscape, and things they can bring home as little craft materials as well. We focus, of course, on academic integration, and I truly believe that any and all subject matter can be taught in the context of the garden. But it's, of course, very easy to teach science. There's so much physical, chemical, and biological science that you can teach right in the garden. We do some math, we do creative writing, we do history. It's all possible. And then we run a farmer's market with our 7th and 8th graders, our 12 to 14-year-olds. And that is something we serve the community with, and we grow the food. We also roast coffee, so you'll see some more of that. All right, let's get into the slides. Trying to create just an environment at school that is beautiful, where children can interact with aspects of nature on a daily basis and just assume that this is the norm. Here's on the issue of wonder and wander. Here's a ladybird beetle that laid eggs on a child's hand this last year, which was a very unusual occurrence. But I'm sure this child will never forget that moment. I won't forget the moment because there was a very clear connection between this organism and the way it propagates itself right there in the child's hand. We have intriguing plants. I try to have a diversity of plants around, like Venus flytrap, for example. The children love watching this. They're mesmerized by these things. And so just having these things, as I said, in the environment around, they can study them on their own time. They can watch how these plants function. They can see the remains of the flies that have been ingested. We focus a lot on pollinators. And just inviting many different kinds of pollinators. So, of course, we have many flowering plants, some of which, like this plant called teasel, has have really interesting forms in and of themselves, and we've used those plants for craft projects. This is a corn that was given to me by one of our Ecuadorian students. We planted it, and we noticed these incredible aerial roots that were coming out of many of the nodes. It's a very different form of corn than other kinds of corn that we grow. So this was something to really wonder at too, and we've spent a lot of time examining this and puzzling over the functionality of these different aerial roots. Just having a lot of flowers on the grounds invites a lot of moments of beauty. Here's just some irrigation water falling behind a bed of zinnias that we harvest for cut flowers for the classroom. Having little spaces where children can create and construct is really important. These are what the kids call fairy houses, and it just gives them time to explore, create, to build, to test architectural ideas. This is a little village they created. And then we have lots of areas where there's maybe rotting stumps, wood. Kids will just naturally assemble materials as long as you provide them. Most playgrounds in the United States at schools are pure asphalt. So there's a very limited palette of pieces that you could assemble as a child. So our school, we try to have a very rich array of things in all states of life and decay, rocks, sticks, rotten logs. This is all stuff that fosters diversity in the ecosystem, but also in the ecosystem of a child's imagination. And then we grow all kinds of different foods. Here are a little sampling of our fall harvest. We have a few different kinds of gourds, squashes, and pumpkins. These are great things that the kids can interact with. The small gourd in the bottom is called the Tennessee spinning or dancing gourd, and it actually functions as a kind of top. So it's like a plaything you can spin and study momentum, and then you can, of course, use it as a decoration as well. Just trying to create spaces at the school. This is a labyrinth that we have in one of our courtyards. And this is what I mean by placemaking. These spaces are invitational and interesting and intriguing. And here with a light coating of snow, you can see the bare outline of the space revealed, which gives some real visual interest to the school, as well as, of course, the labyrinth is a very embodied walking meditation. So children can enter this space and go on a little journey, kind of a spiritual and prayerful journey. Having flowers, kids will make these chains of dandelions. It just is an invitation for their creativity, but you need to have the materials there in the first place, right? So having lots of green and lush open spaces provides these materials for the children at no cost. Then, of course, we do grow corn, and I let kids take the stuff home. We'll oftentimes go on a little walk of discovery, and then whatever is seasonal, the children might be able to harvest and take something home. And there's just such tremendous joy that the children experience in all of this. They love being in the fields and gathering agricultural products. Here's a little informal session. One of the things I like to plant is a kind of edible pea shoot that grows up in the beds. And once I teach the children that that's edible, they just are free to snack on it whenever they want. So they can be getting nutritious snacks on their own timetable. And here were 4 charming little girls that were just eating, and I just sat down with them to have a little impromptu snack together. But that's the kind of thing that can happen when the environment is properly prepared. These little visits, these little chats over a nutritious snack happen very easily. We received a gift of a lot of logs in the last year or two, and so we just cut a lot of them up and made these delightful little tables and chairs. This is under a big maple tree that provides a lot of beautiful shade. So this is just a wonderful little seating area where children can meet for lunch. I hold classes there often when the weather is good. So again, just using natural materials to make informal spaces. Or let's get into a little bit more of some of the work that we do in the learning. Here we're making biochar. I find it important to teach the kids about this technique because first of all, it involves fire, which is interesting to the kids. We're using propane torches to burn all just kinds of waste material, everything from dried weeds to dried out sticks and such. And then we teach them about the chemical structure, the carbon and the hydrocarbons in wood, and the off gassing. We stop it, we quench it at a particular moment, we make some biochar, and then we add that to our compost pile for regenerative agricultural purposes. But you can see that there's a real embodied element to it too. The kids love to get their hands dirty and to really feel that char. It's good on a lot of levels. They can get the science of it, but then they can also feel it in their bodies, which is important. Here we have a student preparing a paver for an outdoor chessboard. You will see the outline of that after. But she's using a chisel, a cold chisel, and a hammer to knock off some uneven portions of the bottom of the paver. Safety glasses on. I like to empower students to use tools that they probably wouldn't be familiar with or probably wouldn't get an opportunity to use. So you'll see some other tool uses. And I think it's especially important for the girls because often in our culture, the transmission of this kind of knowledge is just done from, say, father to son on the masculine side, and girls often don't get to work with tools as much as boys do. So I like to try to do a little redistributive gender justice there when I can. Yeah, we use real tools. We have a large number of fruit trees and other trees on our property, which require pruning. Every February during the winter season here, we're out with all these kinds of tools. Kids learn the differences between all these tools, when to use which tool, what applications, how to keep them sharp, how to keep them well oiled. So all of that becomes part of the learning, and that's part of what I'm driving at as the real work. There's a real reason we want to do the pruning to increase our fruit yield, and therefore the work takes on a little bit more of a serious character. Here's some other pruning that we've done. The kids are collecting these whips, these long, flexible branches, in this case dogwood, and then we'll often make something right away with it. So here we've made a little woven border for a tulip bed. So this gives the children the connection between some of the outdoor work they're doing, the uses of natural materials, and then some kind of element of craft to make it more beautiful and interesting. I have a collection of push mowers and have the kids engage with that. We mow some of our lawns with these push mowers, and it's just, again, a way of signaling that there are alternatives to gas-driven equipment. The children get physical exercise by pushing the mowers. They really enjoy it. So the shift toward the manual labor is something that's important for the kids too. I try to maximize labor and make sure that each child has something to do that's important on the landscape. And of course, just teaching standard agricultural practices. Here, just the very basic idea of stringing a line. We're planting garlic here. This just happened last week. Fertilizing. We have some bone meal on the bed behind the child on the left. And then just the idea of this is the correct time to plant this crop. This is of this crop. So the children are just learning that. Over there, they may spend as many as 10 or 12 years at this school because we go from pre-kindergarten to 8th grade. So they may have 10 or 12 years of exposure to this. So I consider that pretty substantial. And I've been there for 20 years. So I've gotten to see many of these children go all the way through and even see what they're doing afterwards. In terms of real work, we grow starts for our parent community that we sell, especially tomatoes. This is the kind of a spring ritual. So the children are involved in this. And then many of them will purchase these tomatoes and grow them in their home gardens at home. So it's, again, just promoting this connection between the child's school life, some agricultural element there, and the home. We're going to go right over this. This is just, again, another example of kids cultivating the field. They plant everything. Okay.
Could someone stop your audio on the background, please?
A musical accompaniment there. Thank you. In terms of design, we try to use materials at hand. Here we had some old cordwood that we stacked. We did a woven gate, and this is a keyhole bed, which is a technique that's popular in permaculture, which allows a person to stand right in the center of the bed and then work at a comfortable arm's distance, a circular bed in all directions. So I like to introduce concepts like this and then make them in a very simple way. I had 6 through 8-year-olds, first through third graders, stacking the wood. And it was just, they had fun doing it, and hopefully they learned something. There's just an ongoing geometry to it that's appealing and interesting. And then here it is all planted up with one of their favorite snacks, the dragon tongue bean, which they love. So I always plant those, forage around the garden looking for snacks.
Hello, hello. There is a background noise. Nepali is speaking. Is that Sunilji or who is that? Please, can you stop that? Mark, this is called pluriversities, right?
Yeah,
Many voices coming.
It's all good. It's all good. It's nothing than what I experienced
I
at
think
school
this
every
is from Sunil.
Oh, is that from
Hello,
Sunil?
Sunilji. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So this is an example of saving seeds. Here we're squeezing cherry tomatoes to save the seed. Kids really love this activity, and it's just a great, again, embodied way to get out there and just very visceral. You're just squeezing these tomatoes and out come the seeds, but then that allows us to talk about the transmission of this genetic variety. You know, in terms of the presentation we heard prior, I saw that just many of these genotypes are endangered, and this is a way of introducing the concept of varieties and how different each variety can be, all the different genetic attributes that it offers us, and the importance of saving our own seed, not necessarily depending on international systems to provide them for us, but saving the seed and allowing it to adapt to our environment, to our climate, to our conditions. So the kids love that. Again, like just giving kids a taste of something delicious and fresh that is far superior to what they can get in the supermarket. I find that carrots are my biggest tool for that. And I love this quote by Paul Cézanne that I've seen before. The day is coming when a single carrot freshly observed will set off a revolution. And I'm hoping that for these kids, the day is here that this taste of this carrot will awaken something in them. Many of the kids, we always grow carrots each year, and I always do a harvest with each child and let them pick a carrot, take it home. And they all say that this is the best carrot they've ever tasted. So that even at this young age, they can discern the difference between what they might be getting from the supermarket and what we're growing. But I think a carrot is a perfect example of awakening the sensibility in them that there really is something different to the fresh grown and the homegrown. And kids just love to harvest. Here we grow fava beans. That's really fun. Again, the cooking, we take the harvest and we translate it into something delicious using very simple equipment. I have a gas burner with a two burner propane stove that I haul out of a shed. We haul out some foldable tables. I have a set of cutting boards, knives, et cetera, et cetera. So here children are chopping. They learn knife skills. They are creating a recipe. And then we're eating it together in building community around this delicious food and something that we just harvested from the field. So that's a very foundational part of the work that I do. And the kids, it is probably the most memorable item for the children. Of course, they talk about the foods that they ate with us when they were during their elementary years. Of course, you can work math in. Of course, there's so many different applications and the history and cultures of each food. You know, when I was with Pramod studying, we were talking a lot about multicultural gardens and growing foods that belong to certain dishes and that you can showcase certain cultures. So that's a big part of it as well. Here we're gathering dandelions, flowers, which bloom profusely in the spring. And then we immediately went and made dandelion flower tea and talked about the medicinal values of that. Children love that. So these very direct, I try to establish very direct connections between something that's growing in the field, either cultivated or wild, and then something that we can make and that's delicious and interesting. We do a lot of flower growing, flower arranging. In a kind of reverse gender thing, I try to get the boys on the flower arranging, so emphasizing their artistic sensibilities. Here, the issue with tools and real work, I always try to get, especially my 10-year-olds to 12-year-olds, to do some building, some construction. So we're using, of course, real tools, squares and measuring tapes, saws. And of course, each of these tools has a technique. Most children have never used a handsaw like this. They find it very hard. So it's interesting. I'll do it for them, and then they'll say, "Oh, you make it look so easy." And I realize, yes, these are things that need to be learned in the body. The body needs to learn this stuff, and to be able to build something is a real feeling of empowerment. And sometimes you tolerate mistakes and all these banged up nails and things that don't look perfect. You just have to tolerate that. And then here we are building potato boxes. This is a way of growing potatoes vertically. So these boxes stack one on top of the other and are filled with soil, takes up less space in the garden. And where each one of those little cutouts or holes is where a potato plant will grow out. And then to harvest, you just disassemble the whole thing. All the soil falls apart and it's very easy to harvest the potatoes. Here again, we're dividing grasses in the spring because we want to make more plants. So real work, real tools. I let them use an axe because some of these grasses have very big, giant, dense root systems. This is a miscanthus grass, so very big, very tough, and really needs to be done with an axe or a saw. So I teach the kids the safety precautions and then let them go at it. And there's always a feeling of great satisfaction at the end when the goal is achieved. One of the great things about agricultural work for kids is it's very tangible. If the grass roots are still together, there's more work to do. If they're split apart, you accomplish the goal. So it's very easy to see when the goal has been accomplished. We do some little rough masonry with stones that we dig up and make various pillars and seating areas. Kids love doing that. That's a really wonderful thing. Here's the chessboard that we're setting in. These were pavers that we repurposed from another part of the school. Trees were pushing them up and creating a tripping hazard. So we gathered all these, we moved them, we've arranged them in this checkerboard fashion, and then we're actually setting them into the ground. So we're going to have a living chess and checkerboard on our school grounds. And that's going to be a wonderful example of the placemaking that I'm talking about. Just this sense of like kids then can interact with that. And I'm sure it's going to become a dance area and all kinds of other things that I haven't even thought of yet besides just the chess and checkerboard. This is what we call the tiny forest. It's very hard to discern the shapes of the trees at this point. They were planted 2 years ago. We were following a method called the Miyawaki method, which has been popular. I know it's popular in India. It was popularized by an Indian, in fact, and is a way of densely planting an area with the native vegetation of that area for rapid growth. So we've done that at our school, and now everything is higher than the kids, which is wonderful. We did some great lessons out there with measuring, celebrating the growth. So the younger children, for example, we just measured how high the plants had grown in 1 year. And the younger children made tags to celebrate that said to each tree, yay, you grew a certain number of inches. The older kids, I took data from that and we did percent growth. So we were able to calculate the percentage that particular tree had grown. And we could see differences across species. For example, like some of the cottonwoods grew 500% in 1 year, 5 times their original size as a seedling, whereas some of the pines just grew 40%, or the evergreens 30 or 40%. So just seeing those differences and seeing a commonality across different tree species. Here's a little comic set of panels that I did to describe the scientific method to kids. And we tried to do some kind of experiment every year that involves some of these steps: questioning, research, forming some hypothesis, doing an experiment with a control and a variable. We analyze data, we collect some data, analyze it, we make some conclusions, communicate that, and then start over with a new question. So I like to introduce that as a basic framework for the kids. Here's a unit that I just did recently on compost that was entitled Big Pile, Little Pieces. And the relationship that we looked at was surface area to volume. You want a big pile because a big pile retains heat. It's got a low surface area to volume the bigger you make it. But you want little pieces in the pile because you want to encourage the bacteria to eat. And so therefore you want a high surface area to volume. So making compost, great chance to look at these relationships between surface area and volume and how they differ based on your goal. This was some modeling that we did for a geodesic dome greenhouse. We have not yet made the greenhouse yet, but it's just a great thing we could do with popsicle sticks and some tape in the winter, because we do go all year long and the winters can be cold. So sometimes we have to do indoor activities. So this is an example of a very efficient, very structurally stable greenhouse that uses isosceles and equilateral triangles. So it's just a great geometric visualization for the kids about how these shapes can combine to create more complicated shapes that could have a use in the garden. Here's an example of what we did with the tomato seeds. We did an experiment between different methods of saving the seed, one being just rinsing them off and immediately putting them on a paper towel. Tomatoes are very gelatinous. And then another is to ferment the gel coat off, which is probably the standard and more acceptable way. And then we're going to do germination tests with these to see if the extra work of fermenting the gel coat off is worth it. With this little table I set up that kids could walk past, kind of an example of the prepared environment. One group did the work, but all groups, all kids, depending on their curiosity, can stop by and see what's going on. This is a very simple experiment that we do with potting soils, different potting soils, and we just watch the growth of plants across different potting soils. It gives easy comparison, easy ability to make conclusions about, oh, this is better than this, and then we can theorize about why. Here's some haikus about compost. So using literature in the garden and just trying to enhance the children's experience of compost using some literature. So compost is stinky, potato bugs live in it, worms live in compost. It won't win a Nobel Prize, but it is still another way to engage. Then if you can see at the very bottom right, it's kind of, this kid was in a bit of a protest, I think, and said, I wrote this because Mark made me. So anyway, not everyone is willing, but they do follow along. We teach a lot of history with maize and with amaranth, because these were crops of the Americas. I believe our previous presenter alluded to that. Crops of the Americas and how they evolved, and their uses and the historical oppressions around them are a big part of our North American and South American history. So these are crops that give a chance to talk about history and to go beyond just pure cultivation, but to talk about how these crops were tended, who tended them, how they came to us in this form, how they may have been prohibited in the form of amaranth especially. I do design work with students. So here we have a card deck that I designed to help students develop a design vocabulary for the landscape. And then they do design work based on that. They'll design for various parts of our garden. I love seeing what they come up with. Here's another example where we used metaphorical thinking to look at a bird bath. Now, these I drew, but to look at a bird bath seen under the influence of various values. So if you want to make a bird bath geometric or exotic or multi-use or bold, the bird bath, the same bird bath could have a very different form. So it's just expanding the children's creativity, using garden elements, but helping them see it in different ways. So the final piece of what we do is a farmer's market with our middle school students. Maria Montessori believed that the middle school age was the age to go out and encounter the world. So we have a kind of a sheltered farmer's market. We sell only to our parents, but that's still a pretty big community. Every Wednesday, kids roast coffee. So we get the green coffee beans and they roast them. They know the various roasting levels. And they also do tastings based on the origin of the bean. So they will determine, for example, a particular Peruvian coffee bean will taste best at a very dark roast, whereas perhaps an Ethiopian coffee bean will taste best at a very light roast. So they determine that, and then they know what level. And again, it's all handwork. They're roasting the coffee beans in 2 large woks on that gas stove. Here's the farmer's market table. Students staff the table, offer our products for the week to the parents, and they have to encounter the parents. They have to try to drum up business. They have to make change for the money that's coming and keep an account of what we've sold. So all the real skills of running a business. Here's an example of the product before it goes out. This was kind of August or early September. We had flowers, cucumbers, potatoes, and cherry tomatoes that particular day. We do run all year long, and we grow microgreens indoors during the winter. So even during the winter, we have something to offer. Here's one of my collaborators. I do this work with 3 or 4 other teachers, and we each take a particular segment. And this guy's involved, my colleague John is involved with the data and marketing. And then he runs a practice round before the stuff goes out. So the students need to know what each item is, what it could be used for, how it tastes. They practice engaging passersby. So it's a really fun time where we get a little theatrical, but they're learning all the skills of encountering people and dealing with complaints, all that kind of stuff. Here's another view on that session. And John does a great job of analyzing all the data each week too. So we look at the market data, we do spreadsheets, pie graphs, bar graphs, and we let that inform our decision making. We have multiple years of data now, so we can look at trends over the years. And that is just a very rich time of learning when we're trying to analyze and understand this to help support our business, to really help us sell more effectively and understand our customers' needs more effectively. So again, just relying on exploration, real work, gardening and cooking, art and craft, academic integration, and our farmers market. That is how we approach garden education at Franciscan Montessori Earth School in Portland, Oregon. I'm grateful to Pramod for this opportunity and for the mentorship he provided to me during my master's program. Thank you, Pramod, because you launched me in this wonderful career. So thank you to all of you for your attention today. It's a privilege to be part of this group. Thank you.
Wow. So let's give a clapping to Chhabi Lal ji and Marc for their excellent presentation, thought-provoking. So, our another person, Jivan ji, is not here yet. So we will take this opportunity to have a very wonderful discussion. So I would like to request Dr. Nangmindra Dahalji to offer a comment. I know you have been telling me like our learning needs to change. We might be coming to that area. And I would like particularly your comment, your explanation, or however you want to, that now I am coming to a working hypothesis that if we could bring together the life system in Nepali Jivansala, the Jibikoparjan, livelihood in Nepali Jibikoparjan, and Sikai Sala, learning, life system, livelihood, and learning, creating for both life system, regenerating life system and regenerating livelihood, leading to abundance as much as you want, might play the what we need in Nepal and maybe the rest of the world. And if Nepal and Himalaya area could practice it and also offer it as a contribution to the whole world. And to be more precise, from Chhabi Lalji's and Marc's discussion today, I am now coining, like, what if we kind of say Raithane Karnali Academy, the vernacular Karnali life system, livelihood system, and learning system. Same way, Raithane Kali Gandaki Academy with Kali Gandaki life system, Kali Gandaki livelihood, and Kali Gandaki learning system. And Nangmendraji, if you are excited, we could do Sunkosi in the east for now, because you are nearby there. So the Indravati, the Melamchi, and all the Botekosi, and going towards Sunkosi, right there, Ramechap and Sinduli, exciting area. So we might be actually in the verge of articulating what we could actually do. So I would like Nangmendra Dalji to help us a little bit, because I know how grounded you are, and you are looking for this opportunity, this kind of new way of expressing ourselves. And then I would like to request Head Saranar and Sigdalji to specifically comment on what would Mark be doing if he was there for a month in your school in Janjoti, or how could it be serving more teachers, including Janjoti teachers. And then Chabilalji, I would like you to comment on, if we were creating that Raithane Karnali Academy, what part of the element of the what Mark is presenting, has presented, might also be useful in Raithane Karnali Academy. So let's start with Dr. Nangmendra Dal. I put you on the spot because I know you can handle it. Okay.
Thank you very much, Pramod sir. Yes, you are always very much inspiring and a person for all of us. So we can't deny any request, whatever way, whether we are prepared or not to share something. So, anyway, just just I heard Mark presentation, and it was the work was a kind of dream work. I used to think sometime why we can't do the similar kind of activity. Actually, first time about 15 years ago, I was in UC Berkeley, and for Freeze of Capra and that's environmental research course I was attending, and the 3 weeks course was quite interesting. Particularly, the model was something like that: the proposed way out of this global crisis, multiple crises, might be solved through the single approach of garden-based schooling, because this room-based schooling would not help ultimately. And essentially, Mark and Saviji's work came that way, and so I'm so happy to learn something. And another interesting point I learned from this presentation is about the biochar itself. So you have done everything possible within that particular garden, so and involving the children, and so this is so much inspiring to everyone. So this is for the future. I think this is the best way we can do uh, to our children and to our the future of the entire nature. So in that line, that is the best thing. But only problem, to promoting this kind of approach in Nepal. Actually, Nepal, in several pockets, there are good things have already been done. Um, but the larger mass psychology is not going that line, so that is not recognizing the whole school, college, even the best infrastructure, best facility are getting, are not getting the student nowadays. So I'm surprised because those who studied there, they have done excellent in whether they are in Nepal and other country. But now the student tend to not to go to this kind of institution. That is something very disturbing to us. So the way is there, the light is there, clearly the good practice are there. And one thing about this true biochar that I have been advocating for the last half a decade or so in Nepal is that this is a this biochar single biochar approach kind of things can solve multiple problem in one go. That is very simple because now monsoon has ended us, or just finished us. But now the dry season start from this month to up to February, March, and onward in January the forest fire starts, uh, and from this smoke, forest smoke, pollution, everything in the sky, that is so much disturbing for the health of children and everyone around in the Himalaya. So the problem in the forest is, of course, the climate change, drought are always there. Perhaps we can't stop it immediately, but what we can do that we can just take out that the biomass from the forest, the excessive biomass that used to be used in the past to the community, in the farmland, in the livestock, for that purpose. That somehow the forest and agriculture are connected through the community activity in the past. But the disconnection started after the Maoist war, or about two and a half decade ago. Then this the continue the now the forest is completely isolated, and the biomass is piling up there, and every dry season means in the climate change and drier winter is getting even more drier nowadays, and the mm, vulnerability of that forest fire is always high. So, and the biomass you can't take it easy, it out easily, because that is always heavy, and it's costly as well. So in that context, if some community driven approach to prepare biochar, and the biochar making has so many good innovation that you can make a small kind of localized kind of equipment as well, equipment, or even small dog, that pit, and or highly advanced mobile technology are also there. For example, the Chinese truck I have seen used in everywhere in China and Australia and some part of Europe. They are using a mobile kind of truck that is equipped with everything, with fuel and everything. So that truck can prepare, can take digest around 10,000, 20,000 uh, kilogram of biomass, dry biomass, and in 3, 4, 5 hours that converts into the biochar, and that come back to the another destination. For that kind of mobile trucks are available. So multiple approaches are there. If you have access to the road and the biomass is quite sufficient, we can use this kind of advanced technology. And the and of course the local community approach can also be used. Local pit biochar pit can be made easily without much cost. So this kind of approach is still possible, but somehow even the forest community, forest users group, that has been about, there are 26,000 or more community forest users group, quite active group that that used to be there to govern as an institution, alternative institution, a community institution, were active in the past, but hopefully even they are active today as well. But somehow this has not been going ahead, and mostly there are kind of, earlier this UNDP and other kind of support was mostly heavily invested to utilize biomass to prepare biobriquette. And the briquetting is quite familiar to every community, but that has not been very popular after this advanced cooking technology. And for energy purpose, there are so many other options, clean options. So even this briquetting technology is not going ahead with that biomass. So, and I'm against with that kind of approach, because ultimately biomass should not be used for this uh, again the energy purpose, because there are so many other clean energy available. So biomass should be used either for the fertilizer or for the catalyzer. That catalyzer means biochar. So fertilizer and catalyzer, that is the best source from the forest. And once we take it out, and the in Nepal the average biochar that Nepal government has reported to the UNFCCC, and that this is a mitigation plan and adaptation plan are there already. So they have reported that Nepal's agriculture land has something about 2%, below 2% soil organic matter at this current level. So the threshold must be at 5% or above. That is the recommended level minimum. So this is already 3% below the threshold. And in India, this is even below. This is 1% around. India's organic level, so soil organic level is much below 1%. So that when you have lower organic level in the soil, you need more fertilizer, more pesticide, more irrigation, and everything. The cost goes higher with the lower scale of organic matter. So if you can raise that organic matter to higher, our cost of agriculture productivity will be reduced. So this is if you can go this kind of way, Nepal can fulfill the global commitment of reducing this. And it's a net zero emission that is targeted by 2045, and also that can enhance its soil organic system or agriculture system, environment system, forest fire reduction, and everything, all kind of multi-purpose benefits will be there. So this is a kind of proposal I'm trying to promote from my side wherever, and at this level I'm working with the community and the various municipality. But I have received some funding, not for this making biochar, but from water system sustainability or something like that. So somehow I have indirectly promoting biochar there as well, asking the farmer that if you put biochar in your soil, your frequency of irrigation need will be reduced by half. So if you need every week of irrigation in your crop, if you can use biochar and raise your organic matter level in the soil, the need of uh, irrigation will be, you can do it by every 2 weeks, just for example. So in that way, I'm trying to convince the community level, and several municipality are also asking for more details, something like that. So at community level, it is easy, but only the problem faced by the farmers who wanted to use biochar in their farm is that, the device is not there, and the organic matter, and they have not sufficient. They actually they want to see some very visible kind of evidence before they actually put their efforts. So for that purpose, we need a very good facility of production, quality control, and certain experimental trials, so that they can see the difference between uh, the agriculture with and without biochar system in that land. So I think these are something I wanted to share just after promotion. So
Yes,
if
thank
you
you.
have any question, please.
होइन अहिले हाम्रो नारायण सर र छविलालजीबाट जाम अनि फेरि अनदर राउन्डमा आउँला अरू पनि
Thank you.
साथीहरूलाई
Thank you.
बोलाउँला थ्याङ्क यू नगमनजी अलवेज यु आर वान अफ द applied for intellectual, so good to see, and that there is a truck available, so if we can get that donated, we can have the biochar moving around. That's a good news. So let's think about that. So Narayan sir, it's sir, तपाईको के छ आज विचार? Hello, Narayan Sigdalji, are you there? Let's do Chhabi Lalji, and then we will wait for Narayanji, and then we will open discussion. Chhabi Lalji, are you still there?
Yes.
ल हजुर. सो मार्कले प्रस्तुत गरेका चिजहरू हाम्रो कर्णालीको स्कुलमा र यदि हामीले रैथाने कर्णाली एकाडेमी सुरु गर्यौं भने कसरी देख्नुहुन्छ के गर्न सकिन्छ?
I think it's very good. There are a lot of opportunities to coordinate with the education institutions and our actual रैथाने प्रोडक्सन. यसमा चाहिँ कस्तो भनेदेखि अब यसमा हामीले जस्तो धेरै एरियाहरू छ. यसमा जो मैले एउटा स्लाइडमा अघि पनि प्रस्तुत गरेको थिएँ. अब यसमा चाहिँ म पहिले त्यहाँ सुर्खेतमा एउटा यो रामपुरको कलेजको चाहिँ म प्राचार्य पनि थिएँ. त्यो बेला मैले त्यहाँ स्टुडेन्टलाई करिब 10 वर्ष जति भयो. त्यहाँ चाहिँ मैले धेरै मसँग चाहिँ 2टा पन्तनगर र को विद्यार्थी पनि थिए डिग्रीको थेसिस गर्ने. त्यो अर्कै पार्ट भयो. त्यसबाहेक डिएससीमै मैले त्यो प्रशस्त उहाँहरूलाई युज गर्ने र मैले चाहिँ प्रोभिन्सियल मिनिस्ट्रीमा कोअर्डिनेट गरेर उहाँहरूलाई अलिअलि अर्निङ पनि हुने. अर्निङ बाई लर्निङ एक्चुअली त्यो प्राइभेट कलेज हो र एफिलिएटेड विथ एएफयुको. त्यो बेला जतिदेखि नै मैले चाहिँ त्यो कसरी चाहिँ विद्यार्थीलाई त्यहाँ चाहिँ इन्भल्भ गराउने भन्ने कुराहरू a lot of एक्सर्साइज पनि भयो. र त्यहाँ चाहिँ उहाँहरूलाई केही स्रोत भएसम्म फन्ड अलिअलि पैसा पनि भयो. एक पटकमा 10-15 दिन 15 दिन जति जाने. त्यसपछि महिनाको 10,000 जति यसो कमाउने, उहाँलाई खान पुग्ने किसिमको त्यो किसिम आएको थियो. हो यस्तै म यहाँ के भन्न चाहेँ भन्दाखेरि यो एउटा त कुरो के भयो भने हाम्रो चाहिँ जस्तो अब हाम्रो सिग्देल हेड सरको जस्तो विद्यार्थीहरू डिप्लोमा लेभलको विद्यार्थी आइएससी एजी हामी भन्छौँ र त्यो लेभलको विद्यार्थीलाई हामीले इन्टर्नको रूपमा प्रयोग गर्न सक्छौँ. उहाँहरूलाई जसरी हामीले चाहिँ इजरायल पठायौँ, इजरायल पठाउँदाखेरि त्यहाँ चाहिँ त्यस्तो अवस्था आयो. किसिमले हामीले त्योभन्दा अगाडि हाम्रो चाहिँ इम्प्लिमेन्टेसन एरिया अलिकता लर्निङ डेभलप भएको हुनु पर्यो. त्यसरी विद्यार्थीलाई इन्टर्न रूपमा पठाउन पनि सकिन्छ. यस्तै गरेर यो चाहिँ हामीलाई यो अहिले भर्खरै हाम्रो चाहिँ के अरे सुवेदीजीले भनेको बायोचारको जस्तै यो बायोचारको हाम्रो चाहिँ एग्रिकल्चर रिसर्च इन्स्टिट्युटमा यथेष्ट मात्रामा छ र त्यो
हजुर
चाहिँ कर्णालीमा त्यहाँ उहाँहरूको धेरै रिसर्च भएको छ र
ए
त्यस्तै गरेर हाम्रो सोइल साइन्स नार्कलले पनि ए लट अफ पब्लिकेसन छ यसमा
ए
चाहिँ इन्फर्मेसनको कमी छैन र यसमा चाहिँ खास गरिकन यो त्यसमा हामीले हो यस्तो एक्जाम्पल त्यस्तै हामीले चाहिँ विद्यार्थीलाई लगाउन सक्छौँ रिसर्चमा यसमा चाहिँ हाम्रो जस्तो नि अब थेसिस एमएससी पिएचडी गर्ने विद्यार्थीलाई
हजुर
हाम्रो कर्णालीको कन्टेस्टमा दैलेखुरी
अह
स्टेसन छ जुम्ला
हजुर
एग्रिकल्चर सुर्खेत छ
ए
सुर्खेत प्रोभिन्सियल एग्रिकल्चर रिसर्च हो दैलेख
हजुर
क्लाइमेट एकदम साइन्टिफिक छ हाम्रो चाहिँ क्लाइमेट अनुसारको पहिलाको चाहिँ हाम्रो स्ट्रक्चरहरू धेरै धेरै राम्रो रिसर्चको हिसाबले अहिले
ए
बरु हाम्रोमा कतिपय यो प्रजातन्त्र पछि मिलिट्रीले अकुपाई गर्यो रिसर्च स्टेसनहरू है
ह
कति कति अलि डिस्टर्बेन्स अलट अफ आयो पहिला त
हजुर
धेरै एग्रो इकोलोजीलाई एकदम रिप्रेजेन्ट गर्ने किसिमको हो
हजुर
साथसाथ त्यो बाहेक हामी के गर्न सक्छौँ भने जस्तो नि अब आउटरिच रिसर्च स्टेसन भन्ने हुन्छ त्यसमा चाहिँ
हजुर
हाम्रो प्रमोसन गर्ने त्यो चाहिँ एकदमै हाम्रो म्युनिसिपालिटी लेभलको रुरल
अह
म्युनिसिपालिटी अथवा नगरको म्युनिसिपालिटी लेभलमा त्यो
ह
एउटा रिसर्च पहिला पनि त्यो कन्सेप्ट अलिअलि आएको थियो रिसर्च आउटरिच साइट हुन्छ त्यो ओपन फार्मर्स फिल्डको रिसर्च हुन्छ त्यसमा
अह
चाहिँ त्यो थेसिस रिसर्च पनि गर्न सक्छन् त्यो बाहेक हाम्रा चाहिँ यो चाहिँ इन्टर्न जो बिएससिएजीसम्मको भनौँ न आइएससी
हजुर
बिएससी
हजुर
जान्छन् त्यो आउटरिच साइटमा चाहिँ एक त त्यहाँ चाहिँ हाम्रो चाहिँ म्युनिसिपल लेभलको एग्रिकल्चरको कर्मचारीहरू पनि हुन्छन् र तिनीहरू गएर काम गर्ने त्यो टाइपको चाहिँ एजुकेसनसितको सम्बन्धहरू एकदमै गर्न सकिन्छ त्यो बाहेक हामीले के गर्न सक्छौँ भने जस्तो नि हाम्रो रिसर्च लेभलको विद्यार्थीलाई हामीले विभिन्न किसिमको अलि नयाँ नयाँ कुराहरू डिमोन्स्ट्रेट गराउन पनि सक्छौँ नि जस्तो
हजुर
हाम्रो धेरै ठुलो त कुरा नगरौँ तर
उम्,
प्रिसिजन फार्मिङ हाम्रो पिएचडी लेभल गर्नेले त गर्छ नि एमएससीले
अह
पनि गर्छ
हजुर
त्यसै प्रिसिजन एग्रिकल्चर भनेर हामीले चाहिँ यो टेक्नोलोजी युज गरेर है हामी चाहिँ त्यो किसिमको केही हामीले चाहिँ त्यो अथेन्टिक डेटाहरू हाम्रो जिआइएसका कुराहरू डाटा इन्टरप्रिटेसनका कुराहरू ड्रोनकै
हजुर
भनौँ न एक किसिमले
यस यस
त्यो त रिमोट छ त्यहाँ हाम्रो चाहिँ
अह
इलेक्ट्रिसिटी कर्णाली त हाम्रो चाहिँ यो हाम्रो नेताहरूले गएर त्यहाँ इन्डियामा नेगोसिएट गरेर नै ब्लक भएको हो
हो
कुकोट कर्णाली भन्ने छ है त्यहाँ चाहिँ
अह
ठुलो विद्युत 75% कम्प्लिट भएको थियो तर
ए
प्रधान त्यहाँ जाँदाखेरि फेरि उता दिएर छोड्नु भयो र रोकिएको हो नत्र त्यो
ह
2 वर्ष चालु भइसक्थ्यो ए लट अफ अब अप्पर कर्णालीको कुरो त अब त्यो पनि पहिल्यै म त हाई स्कुल पढ्दाखेरि सुनिरहेको लाग्यो ठुलो अब त्यो त्यत्तिकै अहिले पनि त्यत्तिकै कन्ट्रोभर्सीमा जान्छ तर
ए
पनि यदि हाम्रो गभर्मेन्टसित एट्याच भयो राम्रो भयो भने हाम्रो
हजुर
इलेक्ट्रिसिटी सफिसियन्ट छ त्यस्तै गरेर त्यो इलेक्ट्रिसिटी भइसकेपछि इन्टरनेट एभाइलेबिलिटी ठुलो कुरो भएन र
हजुर
यो किसिमको हामीले इनोभेसनहरूमा हामी रिसर्च गर्छौँ साथै अब हाम्रो चाहिँ हाम्रो कल्टिभेसन प्र्याक्टिसेसहरू हाम्रो चाहिँ इकोलोजिकल एडप्सनहरू त्यो चाहिँ लोकेसन स्पेसिफिक हामीलाई
हजुर
डेटाहरू पनि चाहिन्छ हाम्रो चाहिँ प्रमोसनको एक्सटेन्सनको रूपमा पनि युज गर्न सकिन्छ र फेरि यो चाहिँ एग्रो इकोलोजिकल हाम्रो चाहिँ एकदम एउटा कुरो गरेर सबै ठाउँमा यही भन्ने होइन यो
हजुर
लोकेसन फरक फरक त्यहाँको अवस्था के छ त्यही अनुसारको हामीले प्रमोसन गर्ने हो यो किसिमको हामीले चाहिँ गराउन सक्छौँ त्यस्तै गरेर हाम्रो चाहिँ हेबिटेट म्यानेजमेन्ट आदि इत्यादिको कुराहरू डेटाहरू लिन पनि हामी युज गर्न सक्छौँ त्यसकारण
हजुर
उनीहरूको के हुनु पर्यो त भन्दाखेरि अब चाहिँ यहाँ चाहिँ अथोरिटी एक त अहिले चाहिँ डिसेन्ट्रलाइज एग्रिकल्चर सिस्टम छ रुरल लेभलको एजेन्सीहरूले पुरै अधिकार प्राप्त छन् एग्रिकल्चरलाई तर
हजुर
सेन्टरमा हुन्छ त्यहाँबाट फन्डिङ चाहिँ अलि गभर्नेन्स छ कि हाम्रो एग्रिकल्चर गभर्नेन्स इज बिग प्रब्लम अब यसमा चाहिँ फन्ड अर्को कुरो म्याचिङ फन्ड दिने भन्ने हुन्छ त्यहाँ
हजुर
रुरल म्युनिसिपालिटी जसले जग्गा बेचेर घडेरी बेच्छन् त्यो
हो
घडेरी बेचे लट अफ आउँछ
अँ
अनि त्यहाँ त्यस्ता चाहिँ जसँग खेती गर्ने जग्गा छैन यसलाई त
हजुर
पैसा भने राजस्व सङ्कलन गरेर घडेरी बिक्री भएको तिनीहरूले पैसा पाएर चाहिँ जो एक्चुअल फार्मिङ गर्ने रुरल म्युनिसिपालिटीहरू हुन् उनीहरूसँग ग्रान्ट हुन्न अनि म्याचिङ फन्ड सेन्टरले दिँदा पनि दिँदैन थोरै पाउँछ
भेरी इन्ट्रेस्टिङ
यो कुरोहरू जस्तो नि अब यो विद्यार्थी मोबिलाइजेसन गर्ने कुरोहरू यो पोलिसीसित पनि एट्याच छ यस्तो किसिमको पोलिसी खुकुलो भएर इन्सेन्टिभको कुरोहरू अब गभर्मेन्ट लेभलबाट आउनु पर्यो अहिले फार्मर ग्रुपले अहिले उनी इन्टर्नसिपलाई सपोर्ट गर्ने अवस्था त छैन हाम्रो होइन किसान मेबी फ्युचरमा हाम्रो चाहिँ हुनसक्छ जस्तो कर्णालीको केसमा चाहिँ कस्तो भने यो फार्मिङ भन्दा त्यहाँको सर्भाइभल किन छ त भन्दा मेडिसिनल एन्ड एरोमेटिक प्लान्ट त्यसले नै त्यहाँको इकोनोमी धान्या छ खासाको भने स्मगलरलाई हो एकदम पुवर हाउस होल्ड हो पनि 2 लाख 3 लाख रुपियाँ आउँछ त्यहाँ कर्णालीमा जटामसी स्पाइक नायड
वर्षको
तल्लो बेटुमा टिमुर सरले भन्नुभयो नि जाइन्ट प्रोड्युसर अफ द टिमुर हो है मेरो घर त्यहाँ
सल्यान र बाजुरामा पनि धेरै हुन्छ अरे हैन
बाजुरामा कम हो त्यो चाहिँ अलिकति हाई अल्टिट्युड जानु हो भने टिमुर कम हुन्छ धेरै लो कम हुन्छ इट सब यसको निड छ कि स्पेसिफिक निड अहिले नेपालभरिमै सबभन्दा धेरै टिमुर उत्पादन गर्ने भनेको सुर्खेत र सल्यान कम्बाइन मिलाएको हो मिड हिलमा धेरै छ एकदम हाई हिलमा अब त्यो टिमुर भयो त्यहाँ अलि माथिको जटामसी भयो तेरो धेरै छ तर पनि यो इकोनोमी जस्तो त्यहाँको मान्छेको त 0.5 रोपनी जग्गा छ कसैले थाम्छ र तर त्यो थाम्ने छ भन्दा त्यो लाइभ स्टक छ लाइभ स्टक पनि छ फ्री ग्रेजिङ हुन्छ अनि त्यसपछि कतिपयले त कतिपय ठाउँमा के हुन्छ हनी चाहिँ त्यहाँ चाहिँ यो चाहिँ जुम्लामा अलिकति हो अरू चाहिँ जस्तो नि मुगु हुम्लातिर त यो चाहिँ केमिकलहरू युज कम छ त्यो केमिकल कम भएको किपिङ राम्रै छ त्यहाँ मह पनि बेच्छन् अलिअलि त्यसले गर्दा जस्तो कतिपय कुराहरू त हाम्रो यसमा पनि स्टुडेन्ट इन्भल्भ लर्निङको लागि जस्तो बकविट भयो फापर बकविट त क्रस पोलिनेटेड हो र त्यस्तै तपाईँको एप्पल भयो यिनीहरू त मौरी बिना त उत्पादनै हुँदैन यिनीहरूको त मौरीको रोल ठुलो छ यसमा 2 वे भयो एउटा त हाम्रो क्रप प्रोडक्टिभिटी बढ्यो अर्को एडिसनल इन्कम टु द फार्मर हनी बेचेर होइन त्यो किसिमको यो चाहिँ सिनर्जी छ कि एकदमै ठुलो सिनर्जी त्यसले गर्दा इकोनोमिक भायबिलिटी रहने हो र यसमा मैले अहिले अन्तमा के भने भन्दाखेरि अब यसमा चाहिँ हामीहरूको पोलिसी चाहिन्छ अथवा सर्टेन लेभलको गभर्मेन्ट स्टकमा हामीले कोअर्डिनेट गरेर एक त रुरल म्युनिसिपालिटी आफैमा अटोनोमस छन् तिनीहरूले गर्न सक्छन् तर केन्द्रको पनि अलिकति चाहिँ यो रिसर्च एक्सटेन्सन र हाम्रो चाहिँ एजुकेसन टुगेदर जाने भन्ने पोलिसी ओपन भयो भने इट क्यान डु भेरी राम्ररी यो काम गर्नु
ल एकदम छविलालजी तपाईँ म अनि नारायण सर हामी एउटा कर्णालीमा अरू थप के गर्न सकिन्छ तर अहिले नगेन्द्रजीको र त्यहाँ ग्राउन्ड रियालिटीमा के भइरहेछ भने यो विषयहरूमा विद्यार्थीहरू झन् घटिराखेका छन् पढेका छैनन् भन्ने सुनिन्छ होइन द्याट इज समथिङ टु कन्सिडर तर यदि एन्टरप्रेन्योरसिप एङ्गलतिरबाट गयो भने सायद यसको भायबिलिटी हुनसक्छ विल सी ल हेड सर नारायण सर हुनुहुन्छ त्यहाँ लेट्स हियर फ्रम यु हेलो ल अहिले उहाँ नआउँदासम्मलाई अरू विश्वराजजी मेबी यु वान्ट टु टक अबाउट दिस गार्डन एन्ड फुड बेस्ड लर्निङ इकोसिस्टम यो नेपालमा छ कि छैन किन भइरहेको छैन के यो उपयोगी छ यो
डाक्टर साहब नमस्कार निकै उपयोगी चिज हो वस्तु हो विषय हो
हजुर
अब यसलाई प्रयोगमा कसरी ल्याउने भन्ने महत्त्वपूर्ण कुरा हुन्छ अब यहाँनिर के छ भने प्र्याक्टिकल रूपमा कसरी जाने दोस्रो अनुभवी भएका व्यक्तिहरूले भनेका भनाइलाई कसरी अनुसरण गर्ने यसलाई प्रयोग हजुरले भने जस्तै प्रयोगशालाको रूपमा ल्याबको रूपमा विकास कसरी गर्ने भन्ने किसिमको अवस्था कम छ डाक्टर साहब। त्यो भएको हुनाले प्र्याक्टिकल कसैले गर्नुपर्छ, कसैले जानेको कुराहरूलाई सेयर गर्न जान्नुपर्छ। आफूले के गरेँ भनेर भन्नुभन्दा अरूले के गर्नुभयो र मैले के गर्न सक्ने छु भनेर पछि लाग्यो भने मात्रै सहजता हुनसक्छ। धेरै सरहरूले आफ्नो बारेमा, यहाँका घटनाका बारेमा, कर्णालीका बारेमा धेरै कुराहरू यहाँ व्यक्त गर्नुभयो। जब योजना बनाइन्छ त्यसपछि मात्रै त्यस प्लानिङले काम गर्ने हो। त्यो भएको हुनाले हजुरहरूसँग भएका विचारहरूलाई पोख्ने मौका दिई सबैलाई राम्रो काम गर्न सक्ने वातावरण बनोस् भन्ने चाहना हो। शिक्षण सिकाइलाई प्रभावकारिता कसरी बनाउन सकिन्छ भन्ने चाहना हो। नेपालीहरूमा पनि एउटा जोस र जाँगरका साथमा आफूले आफ्नै धरतीमा पसिना चुहाउने अवसर मिलोस् र जुन कार्यक्रमबाट ज्ञान प्राप्त गर्नुभएका ज्ञानी आत्माहरू हुनुहुन्छ उहाँका कुराहरूलाई अनुसरण गर्दै यही धरती, यही माटोमा केही न केही मोतीका दानाहरू फलाउने अवस्था रहोस् भन्ने मेरो आफ्नो जिज्ञासा। सबैभन्दा पहिला शिक्षण सिकाइमा प्रभावकारिता कसरी दिन सकिन्छ, हामीले डेलिभर गरेका म्यासेजहरू दोस्रो व्यक्तिलाई कसरी एक्सेप्ट गर्नेछन् भन्ने पनि अवस्था हो। यो जेनजीको आन्दोलनपछि नेपालको अवस्था निकै बिग्रिएको अवस्था छ, मानसिकता गिरेको मानसिकता छ। मानिसलाई अब के हुन्छ, अब के हुँदैछ भन्ने पनि अत्तो पत्तो थाहा भएको छैन। त्यस कारणले जुन पैतालामा पत्तीको धारमा टेकेर जीवन जिए जस्तै नेपालमा पनि के गर्न सकिएला भन्ने किसिमका अवस्थाहरू रहेका छन्। आशा छ, किनभने मान्छे एउटा आशा र भरोसामा मान्छेको जीवन जिएको हुन्छ। त्यस भएको हुनाले हामीले हाम्रा विचारहरू मात्रै नभएर अरूका विचारहरूलाई पनि राम्रोसँग एक्सेप्ट गर्ने किसिमको वातावरण बनोस्, शिक्षण सिकाइमा प्रभावकारिता रहोस् र सबैलाई एउटै हाम्रै यही धरतीमा केही न केही गरेर देखाउँछु भन्ने किसिमको भावनाको विकास होस्। जुन हाम्रो प्रोफेसर डाक्टर प्रमोद पराजुली डाक्टर साहबले धेरै कुराहरू दिन खोज्नु भएको छ। धेरै चुम्बकले चुम्बकीय वस्तुलाई तान्छ भने जस्तै आफ्नो मातृभूमिलाई कसरी राम्रो गर्न सकिन्छ भन्ने विचार उहाँका छन्। यस दर्शनलाई पनि हामीले अध्ययन गर्ने वातावरण बनोस् भन्ने पनि मेरो आफ्नो चाहना हो। त्यसो भएको हुनाले हामीसँग जे चिज छ त्यो चिज र अरूसँग भएका चिजहरूलाई पनि पोख्ने काम गरौँ र एउटा प्लेटफर्म, नयाँ प्लेटफर्मको विकास गरौँ भन्ने पनि मेरो जिज्ञासा हो। हस्, धन्यवाद।
एकदम राम्रो विषय। Marc Boucher-Colbert is also a teacher, and he was in Europe for 10 years, and he just could not stay there. He wanted to come back, and he has created an online forum. He has interviewed me for about 60 different episodes already.
Oh my God.
So he will be another person for us to work with. So we will continue this sharing next week. Also same time, Sunday 7:30 Nepal time. Let's not change it. It will be cold here in America, but we will we will adjust. So we will have more sharing by U.S. American professionals, also one on climate, one on experiential education, and Vlad, who is instrumental in bringing all this information together through digital and editing and YouTube. He will also be presenting maybe end of November. So we have a lot. We have a lot to share. And the writing, I hope all of you are excited to write those 5 stories, 1 page each, sharp, with you can also give a link like footage of related to not or I can add, or anyway, I am hopeful by bringing all that together in a more usable, user-friendly format, we hope to be able to offer a little more solid, systematic for those academies that we are thinking of creating. So one more time, Nangamendra sir, Dr. Nangamendra, I want your version of what is this life system, Jibansala. Jivikoparjan, livelihood, and Sikaisala, learning ecosystem. Could those be attractive kind of thing to work on Nepali manasiktaमा कि no यो अहिले तिनीहरू तयारै छैनन् के छ साँच्चै नै भन्नु न I really want to know. Really want- हजुर.
So, perhaps we share, because of the age factor and everything, we are not Gen Z, we are
Yeah.
the Gen X and Gen
Yeah.
Y.
Yes,
So, in that line, what we see that at our level, we are happy to do anything and we can move anything. You give name, whatever
Uh-huh.
name appropriate, which is
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
So we are all inspired. We are always hopeful, and
Yes.
we believe in our soil and everything.
Uh-huh.
So as long as we are here, this is fine. The only problem is that the next generation is not happy with the whatever they have been given, whatever they have
Oh,
achieved,
yes.
and they just want to leave the home, the soil. That is
Yes.
something the challenge.
Oh,
So
yes.
as long, so and that's why the presentation was so important, that at least the children who are growing here,
Uh-huh.
the schools, if the public school are converted into that garden based school
हजुर.
or something like that, that even
Maybe garden food entrepreneurship altogether design.
exactly.
Yeah,
The
हजुर.
school, the whole curriculum should be based on the practical, for their in a handmade basis, not
Uh-huh.
what is the preaching basis. So
Yeah.
yes, in the past it was useful, but now there are other medium they can learn from. Children can learn from those materials, but the children, the student, teachers' main guidance should be to involve themselves, lead the whole practical in the garden, so
हजुर.
that the children can understand. And they can actually, children love to leave their phone behind if they actually be given an opportunity to go to the to play with the water in the nature,
हजुर.
forest, bird, and everything. So this is such a beautiful nature in Nepal. So the whole season is changing. So everything is changing. So in that sense, they can learn gradually because of the nature dynamics. So
हजुर.
in that line, whole this approach of garden based schooling, it is not been practiced as well. Even the agriculture student don't want to go to the field. That is the problem we have now, right? So let's. So best thing would be would start to happen once we link that pre-primary and primary school to the garden-based school. Then
Yeah.
gradually it will go up and up. This is what I see the possibility.
And then maybe bring the entrepreneurship and design little later. Is that true? Like up to
yeah, absolutely.
Garden based, like what Mark was, and then entrepreneurship economy, food economy. And there I'm finding food, flavor, and fiber. हाम्रो एकदम नेपालको अचम्मको रहेछ त्यस्तै health, healing, and hospitality. See?
Exactly.
त्यसमा हामी ग्लोबल एक्सलेन्स गर्न सक्छौँ तर अब
कुरै छैन.
there is something missing. Why we are not pulling it together? There is something missing. त्यो अब एकदम विचारणीय नै कुरा भइरहेछ यो very
Actually, let me add this here. Where we failed is just very simple. In the
हजुर.
past, whatever you and myself and all, we worked as like a garden. Our field was like a garden, and
Yes.
what the public school was like something to learn other than the garden. So in that sense, that we used to work in the past. But now what we do is that we our children, we take to the class even before 3 years old. So they never have a chance to be connected with the nature.
That's right. हामीलाई so we were in an advantage because there were not schools running all the time. So we had time to be in the field. That's what we made us the better people. How interesting. Also, right, that is why I got the Annapurna, goddess Annapurna on me. And that
Yeah.
was a big, big event. Now I'm finding that she was
Yeah.
blessing me for thinking ecologically. See, very interesting. So anyway, as what we will do is we will have each the first will be all our 2-hour session will be in one YouTube. Then we will have segments. One about writing, one on Chhabi Lalji's presentation separate, then Marc's presentation, so we can then reach different audience. And there were supposed to be a lot of teachers attending today, but I think weather in Nepal and also people's mind has been little disturbed. र मलाई अहिले लागिरहेछ the leaders, so-called youth leader, they are actually depressed. They are in depression. And maybe some drug, including we are finding they are actually using drug because they are overstimulated, frustrated, angry. They are in a violent mode. So it's a very critical time for Nepal, huh? So hopefully some of we can even 1 inch we can offer a little bit of positive view of what we can do. But these keywords are coming, and I will be expressing those in those writings and online forum. The keywords are life system, जीवनशाला, livelihood, जीविकोपार्जन, र सिकाइशाला, learning ecosystem. And the other keywords are coming fascinating. Food, flavor. अब तपाईँले इमेजिन फ्लेभर इकोनोमीमा हामी गयौँ भने त्यो नेपालमा पाइने सबै एग्रो मेडिसिनल जुन छ नि टिम्मुरदेखि लिएर राइट त्योलाई हामीले विश्व बजारमै आइडेन्टिटीको रूपमा र इन्कमको रूपमा रेभेन्यूको रूपमा र एन्टरप्रेन्योरसिपको रूपमा लैजान सक्थ्यौँ। अब त्यो पोलिटिकल वातावरण कसरी निकाल्ने हो, त्यो अर्ज कसरी निकाल्ने हो, सबैले सोच्नु होला। र हेल्थ, हिलिङ र हस्पिटालिटी अनि फाइबर है, फुड, फ्लेभर बराबर गरी यो शब्द तपाईँले सायद त्यति प्रयोग गर्नुहुन्न नि होइन। त्यो तपाईँको कालो बेसार, बाफ्रे द ब्ल्याक टेमरिक, त्यसले टिम्मुरको त्यस्तै त हाम्रो त 1000वटा त्यस्ता चिज छन् नेपाली र हिमाली सन्दर्भमा। सो फ्लेभर इकोनोमीमा हामी ग्लोबल एक्सलेन्स बारेमा सोच्नु त डाक्टर नङमेन्द्र एन्ड अदर्स कसरी हामी कहाँ पुग्थ्यौँ ल हेर्नु त, हामी त खालि खरदार कसरी हुने राइट, जेटिए कसरी हुने भनेर सोचिरहेको छ, अनि कहाँ हुन्छ राइट। हेल्थ, हिलिङ एन्ड हस्पिटालिटी र अरू अब डिजिटलमा पनि हाम्रो धेरै यी सबै कुरामा फेरि हामी डिजिटल पनि मिक्स गर्न सक्छौँ। एनिवे ड्रिम बिग, डोन्ट गिभ अप। र हाम्रो त्यो युवा नेताहरूलाई चाहिँ नि यो ड्रग र फ्रस्ट्रेसन र एङ्ग्रीबाट बाबुहरू यो त्यसबाट पुगिँदैन हामी राम्रो ठाउँ भनेर भन्नुपर्ने भयो। ल है त आजलाई र फेरि अर्को हप्ता अरू कुराहरू लिएर आउनेछौँ। प्रमोद ढकालजी, डाक्टर प्रमोद ढकाल विल बी प्रेजेन्टिङ 2 स्किल्स, डिजाइन स्किल, गाउँमा नेपाली गाउँमा कसरी बस्ने त्यसको लागि डिजाइन टुल टेक्नोलोजीहरू उहाँले जुन विकास गर्नुभएको छ त्यो प्रस्तुत गर्नुहुन्छ। अनि हामी राइटिङमा हाम्रो रमेश भुसालजीले आएर हामीलाई सहयोग गर्नुहुन्छ, अथवा हाम्रो जीवनजी पनि नभए मै गर्छु, हामी नै गर्छौँ। ल अहिलेलाई आजलाई हामी यसैमा कन्क्लुड गरौँ है त।